Chapter 51. A terrifying wave of energy surged in the dark clouds, making people daunted. Even though Su Xingzhou had already reached the top of the A-level ranks, he couldn't help but widen his eyes in shock when he sensed this moving wave that contained a destructive aura. This aura is much more terrifying than the fusion secret technique of those two S-level psychics. If Lin Sheng had taken action before, he would have killed those three instantly. Is Brother Sheng really at the S-level? When the supernatural power was fully accumulated, a flash of lightning suddenly flashed, almost splitting the sky and the earth in half. Immediately, the ground shook violently, as if it had really been split in half. The aftermath of the earthquake caused many civilians to fall to the ground, but out of trust in Lin Sheng, no one ran away. After the smoke and dust cleared, the crowd watching were all shocked with their mouths wide open. So superpowers can be used like this. The place that was just hit by the terrifying lightning power suddenly turned into a winding canal. The river water in the distance was flowing along the cracks created by the split, rushing towards their direction. That's great, that's great. Not only has the water problem for irrigating the fields been solved, but we don't have to run so far to get water. Is this the power of a god of war? He has the terrifying power to split mountains and break rocks with just a wave of his hand. No wonder the god of war was able to defend the southern border for more than a decade on his own. At this moment, the admiration of all the civilians present for Lin Sheng has almost reached its peak. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 436 points of faith. The system's prompt sound also sounded, and Lin Sheng's heart dropped heavily. As expected. The so-called faith value indicated by the system is indeed inextricably linked to these ordinary civilians. As long as someone's admiration for him reaches a certain level, he can get faith points as a reward. Isn't this encouraging him to become bigger and stronger? It seems that the decision not to let those monsters kill innocent civilians was the right one. Lin Sheng was already smiling brightly in his heart, but he did not show much emotion on the surface. If one wants people to admire him, a cool and warlike personality will make it easier to gain faith rewards. There will be more and more people living here in the future, and future development will all depend on your own efforts. This place will serve as a new human stronghold, with this as the center and radiating development in all directions. As for the seed problem, this is also easy to solve. There must be a lot of seeds in these villages in Yanbian. I will send a few monsters to go with you later and try to bring back everything that can be used. When they heard that there were monsters that could be used as mounts, many young men volunteered to go and search for valuable supplies. Great! I never thought that one day I would be able to get a monster to use as a mount. Although it's just a temporary mount, if I can take a photo with it as a souvenir, it will be enough for me to brag about for the rest of my life. Hehehe, I would never have dared to dream of this before. It's really exciting to be able to have such close contact with a monster. The entire gathering place was filled with peace and bustle. The water problem had been solved, and the seed problem would soon be solved as well. For the common people of Longguo, food is the most important thing for people. If they can have a piece of land to grow crops, they can get endless sense of security. The deep-rooted love for farming has also made Longguo the largest grain exporter in the alliance. At this moment, many people not only worship Lin Sheng very much, but also regard him as a god in their hearts. Just imagine this. Originally they were going to be killed by the monster, but one person changed their fate. Not only does it provide them with a safe and stable home, it is even very likely to create another kind of peaceful and prosperous world. If this kind of existence is not a god, then what is it? Excuse me, is there anyone in charge here? A powerful voice came from a distance, directly breaking this brief peaceful atmosphere. Lin Sheng instantly sensed the source of the sound, and at the same time directly locked the aura of all the other people. There are 70 people in total. Everyone in this group of people has supernatural power fluctuations of varying strengths. The weakest is only an E-level supernatural power user, and the strongest is just on the verge of an A-level supernatural power user. Who? What's the matter? Lord God of War. I'm so happy to meet you here. Lin Sheng had just opened his mouth to ask, but he didn't expect the other party to run towards him with a familiar smile. This sudden scene left the surrounding civilians a little confused. Could it be that? Were these people invited by the God of War? Lin Sheng always felt that the other person looked familiar, and then suddenly an idea came to his mind. I remembered. At that time, in order to save Su Xingzhou, he directly burned the Jingshui prison to pieces with one move. These people escaped from Jingshui prison. How did you find this place? Lord God of War, we encountered a seriously injured civilian on the way here. Unfortunately, we don't have a healing psychic, so. But before he died, he told us that there were a lot of civilians gathered here, so we wanted to come here to recuperate. The middle-aged man grinned and said cheerfully, we parted in such a hurry that day that I didn't have time to introduce myself to the God of War. My name is Xi Xingwen, a top-level B-class psychic. After leaving Jingshui prison, our group has been looking for like-minded superpowers. Now we have formed a team of 70 people. Although there is a big gap in our strength, we have been working hard to fight against the Tianxing Alliance. After learning that the border was attacked by monsters, we began to move closer here, hoping to save more civilians. Lin Sheng nodded slightly, you are lucky. If you had encountered the vanguard team of monsters on the way here, you would have been eaten by them long ago. Vanguard squad. Yes, the order they received was just not to kill civilians, but for those with special abilities. When Xi Xingwen heard this, his back was immediately soaked with cold sweat. Although he has relatively lofty ambitions, he still has a very clear understanding of his own strength. With their current strength, if they collide with the vanguard of the monster clan, there will be only one outcome, completely annihilated. Lord God of War, we have an idea. After Xizingwen calmed down for a moment, he mustered up the courage to speak. This time I came here to find a gathering place for civilians, and I am working hard to realize this idea. We want to create a new alliance. The Tianxing alliance has been completely corrupted by termites. It is only a matter of time before it falls. And this world cannot remain in a state of disorder forever. There are so many people in the world, someone has to stand up and take charge of the overall situation and lead everyone to work towards one direction. Although we are still a long way from becoming a force that can truly compete with the Tianxing alliance, nothing can be achieved overnight in this world. As long as we keep working towards that direction, we will be able to achieve it one day. Our philosophy is that a single spark can start a prairie fire, so let's name the alliance the Spark Alliance. And you are our eternal leader. Chapter 52. Creating a brand new alliance. This idea is a bit crazy, but it's not impossible. That's really to the point. Isn't the reason why the Tianxing alliance is so fearless because no one is standing up to it? If there is another choice in this world, I believe that many people will not choose the Tianxing alliance. That's right. Even though we suffered a lot of oppression from the Tianxing alliance, we were forced to compromise in order to survive. If we form a brand new alliance, there will definitely be many civilians and people with special abilities who have been exploited for a long time joining us. With the Lord God of War here, the Tianxing alliance will never be able to do anything to us. What's more, the God of War also advocates coexistence with monsters. Once this idea spreads, it will definitely cause a huge response. If everything goes smoothly, we might be able to directly replace the Tianxing alliance. There was an immediate buzz of discussion among the crowd, and Su Xingzhou, who was usually quite rational about such matters, nodded repeatedly to this proposal. Brother Sheng, the idea of a creating a new alliance is feasible. As they mentioned before, there are a lot of humans on the entire blue planet. If there is no organization to lead the overall situation, who knows what chaos will happen. Wars will inevitably ensue wherever there are conflicts of interest. Don't let humans start fighting each other before we fight the monsters. After Lin Sheng pondered for a moment, he nodded gently under the attention of everyone. According to his previous thoughts, he would definitely not want to do such a troublesome thing, but now it is different. The existence of faith value can help him reach a higher level. Is there any faster way to gain faith value than creating a new alliance? Obviously, not yet. The creation of a brand new alliance is the inevitable trend. Cleansing out the people of the Tianxing alliance and the 4 major cities has become everyone's common goal. Just in case, I'll make you something to identify yourself. Lin Sheng took out some crystal cores from the storage space and injected some of the holy light attribute power into them. The purpose of injecting these holy light attributes is not to allow these people to enjoy the healing effect. It was to prevent them from being mercilessly torn into pieces by monsters when they encountered them. Don't lose the crystal core I gave you. Keep it with you. If you encounter a monster, take it out. This is the Spark Alliance's token, please keep it safe. Most of these crystal cores are dropped by low-level monsters. They are not valuable in themselves, but they can contain some supernatural powers. Facing the crystal core slowly floating towards them, the expressions of the 70 psychics present were very solemn. The crystal core floating in the air is not only a symbol of identity, but also their future affiliation. Xizingwen showed an ecstatic look on his face, but the moment he took the crystal core, he immediately restrained his joy and stood up straight with a serious face. The psychics who followed him here also straightened their bodies like him. The next second, everyone present knelt on one knee as if they had received some kind of omen. Xizingwen of the Spark Alliance, meet the leader. Members of the Spark Alliance, meet the leader. Meet the leader. The mighty shouting scared all the birds in the surrounding forest away. Along with it, the system prompt sound also rang. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1,317 points of faith. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2,476 points of faith. Ding. Congratulations to the host for obtaining 3,415 points of faith. Ding. Detected that the host has gained a large amount of faith value, successfully unlocked the achievement establishing a sect. Special reward, World Tree Seedling A1. World Tree Seedling, it can absorb the will of living beings and continue to grow. The more vigorous the will of the living beings living around the world tree is, the faster the world tree will grow. This series of reward prompts made Lin Sheng feel a little unexpected. Because he was very surprised to find that the multiplier of faith value seemed to have been greatly improved. Before, the faith value he obtained was only a few hundred, but now it has easily reached thousands. Could it be because of the creation of the organization? The key point is still the world tree seedlings rewarded by the system. Since the system panel was invisible to other people, Lin Sheng handed over the task of arranging subsequent developments to Su Xingzhou and Xizingwen. Otherwise, if he kept staring into the air, it would probably arouse the curiosity of these people. After finding a relatively secluded location, Lin Sheng woke up the panel again. After carefully studying the world tree, Lin Sheng was instantly filled with shock. The effect of this thing is, to some extent, even more terrifying than the value of faith. Although the effect may be a little weak in the early stage, it has endless growth potential in the later stage. The world tree not only provides shelter for the location, but also greatly increases the speed of supernatural power cultivation in the surrounding area. The most exaggerated point is that as long as someone enjoys the accelerated cultivation effect of the world tree, the bonus will also be shared by Lin Sheng. To sum it up in a very popular way, even if Lin Sheng lies still, as long as there are people practicing near the world tree, they can also bring him some benefits from his practice. This is truly a person sitting at home, and supernatural powers come from heaven. Lin Sheng stared at the world tree sapling in his palm with a fiery gaze, which was shining with colorful light. Although the young world tree cannot provide such a domineering effect for the time being, it can still form a protective shield in critical moments. Planting the world tree sapling here can definitely serve as one of the landmarks of the Spark Alliance. Lin Sheng flew directly to the center of the stronghold, raised his hand and planted the seedling of the world tree. This extremely rare seedling is much easier to grow than imagined. Even without soil, the seedling of the world tree will not die. The only nourishment for this thing is will. To be precise, it is the vigorous vitality and the desire of all living things to survive. Compared to the monsters, these civilians and people with special abilities who just want to survive are the best candidates. This is also the fundamental reason why Lin Sheng chose to plant the world tree seedling here instead of in the demon world. After Lin Sheng planted the world tree seedling, he set up a restriction near the seedling. Any creature that attempts to get close to the world tree will be forcibly repelled by the supernatural power contained in this restriction. If someone wants to forcefully break through the restriction, Lin Sheng, as the caster of the restriction, will naturally be able to detect it immediately. Chapter 53. The Heart of the Demon World. Hong Tzu, who was practicing with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes, raised his head and looked in the direction of the world tree seedling. It just clearly sensed that a mysterious power had been born between heaven and earth. This level of creatures. It is an existence even higher than it. When he thought of this, Hong Tzu's calm heart began to beat violently for the first time in history. It is a creature from the land of the demon race. There are creatures that are even more advanced than it. What on earth is that? What shocked it the most was that it could sense Lin Sheng's aura beside that unfathomable supernatural power. Hong Tzu, who originally wanted to go over and take a look, immediately gave up the idea. Because Lin Sheng completely refreshed his worldview and outlook. If it were in the past, in Hong Tzu's understanding, the strength of the race would determine the height of the later stage. For example, monsters are naturally stronger than humans, and no matter how hard humans try, it will be of no avail. But the appearance of Lin Sheng completely overturned this statement. A mere weak human not only crushed it in terms of cultivation, but also used supernatural powers far beyond its imagination. The demon beast race already possesses a unique advantage, but Lin Sheng managed to cross the racial gap. If even humans can cross this chasm, then why should it, as the king of the demon race, be so obsessed with the strength of its race? At the same time, towns around the southern border were almost completely lost. After the vanguard team of the monster clan passes, the monster army will follow. Under that almost carpet-style attack, there was no chance of any luck at all. These monsters also completely followed Lin Sheng's ideas and did not kill too many civilians. This is not absolute. Monsters are monsters after all, and their desire and impulse to kill cannot be easily restrained. What's more, swords and knives are always merciless on the battlefield, so accidental injuries are not unheard of. But at least subjectively, they are trying their best to carry out Lin Sheng's orders. The most terrified ones are the psychics stationed in various branches of the Tianxing Alliance. They all have relatives and friends living in the 4 major cities. Once they flee from the battlefield, their relatives will be directly expelled from the 4 major cities. It was not until this moment that they realized that some of the top leaders of the Tianxing Alliance had become so shameless. Damn it! Why didn't I find out that there was such a big loophole in the Alliance's promise? Rules are dead, but people are alive. Does that mean only their lives are lives, and our lives are not lives? How can we possibly defend against a monster attack of this magnitude with only a few hundred of us? This bunch of damn bastards. They clearly want to use our flesh and blood to slow down the speed of the monsters reaching the 4 major cities. What now? What else can we do? If we retreat, our family members who were driven out of the 4 major cities will also die. I haven't had time to go back to be with my wife and children over the years. I feel so sorry for them. Now, let me give them my last bit of light and warmth. Dad, Mom. I am an unfilial child. Over the years, I have never shown my filial piety to you two. I want to be your son in my next life. I will work like a slave and be filial to you. These psychics were fighting with the determination to die, but they obviously overestimated their own fighting ability and underestimated the scale and intensity of the monster's attack. Even the Tianxing Alliance, which had nearly 100 superpowers, couldn't even hold out for an incense stick of time under the attack of the monster army. Hehehe. Compared to the dull flesh and blood of ordinary humans, the flesh and blood of psychics is much more delicious. I can feel the supernatural power flowing through my body increasing. It won't be long before I can break through to the general level. I need more flesh. More. Don't worry, the vanguard team is still advancing deep into human territory. We just need to wait for the attack signal. Under the cover of night, countless monsters had bright red blood at their mouths, and the ground was littered with the remains of those with special abilities. The remaining flames from the battle ignited the building, and the flames spread wider and wider. What was burned was not only the buildings, but also all traces of the existence of some of their sacrificed psychics in the world. The flames that shot up into the sky were like a beacon fire, making all nearby towns and branches of the Tianxing Alliance that could see the flames nervous. Hurry up and send a distress signal to the Tianxing Alliance. These damn monsters are moving so fast. What? Weren't they more than 500 kilometers away from us a few days ago? Now is not the time to be amazed. If we don't send out the signal, it might be too late. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Just keep urging me. Don't you know that we sent out the distress signal 3 days ago? What? The distress signal was sent out 3 days ago, why hasn't the Tianxing Alliance sent anyone over yet? Those bastards, it's okay for them to just sit back and enjoy the fruits of others' labor on weekdays, but when the time comes, none of them can be trusted. Whether it was the southern border or the 4 major cities, the entire alliance territory was thrown into complete chaos within just a few days. Such a chaotic and disorderly scene is beyond the control of the alliance. Report. News came from the southern border branch that 3 towns were attacked by monsters today. All 3 towns have been lost. It's terrible. Another one of our branches was attacked by a monster. All personnel were killed. No one survived. Zhang Qi felt his temples throbbing and he became inexplicably irritated. He has hardly slept these days. He is either handling affairs or on his way to handle affairs. But no matter how hard he tried, he could never get any good news that would make him feel at ease. Bad news, all bad news. The leader is furious. If we don't show some results, we will be finished before the monsters come. Zhang Qi, who had calmed down for a long time, seemed to have thought of something and patted his assistant who was sorting documents beside him. Xiao Han, how many branches of the alliance are there between the southern border and Linyuan City? Reporting to Master Zhang, there are still 37 branches. Do we need to withdraw all the superpowers in these branches? Withdraw? Why do you want to withdraw? Zhang Qi heard a ridiculous joke, and the smile on his face turned colder. The maximum population capacity of the 4 major cities cannot accommodate so many people. Whether it's the venue or the survival supplies, we can't afford to withdraw them. We might as well just use them as a new line of defense. As for the following issues, the leader is communicating with several other member states, and there must be new solutions. All we have to do is delay time. Chapter 54. Then, according to the Alliance's regulations, the families of the sacrificed mutants will be given certain compensation. If all these psychics were to die, the Alliance would have to pay a huge sum of money. Given the current situation. Seeing the assistant hesitant to speak, Zhang Qi's smile became even more sinister. Xiao Han, you are still too young. Some rules are dead, but people can be dead too. Since all the superpowers in their branch have died, who can prove that they sacrificed themselves and did not become deserters? The southern border is so vast. Where can't they go to avoid the monsters? The Alliance has always been very strict in dealing with deserters. Their family members living in the 4 major cities can also be driven out. After hearing these words, the assistant's heart skipped a beat and a hint of panic flashed in his eyes. Master Zhang. The situation outside is so dire now. If we drive their families out of the 4 major cities, they will probably die. Zhang Qi sneered when he heard this. What does their life or death have to do with me? The active population in the 4 major cities is already on the verge of being overloaded. What are the worthless people doing here? You don't feel pity for them, do you? In today's world, the price of being soft-hearted is very high. You have to think it through before you speak. The young assistant simply lowered his head and didn't dare to say anything more, because he knew very well the character of his leader. If he said one more word, it wouldn't just be the families of the sacrificed psychics who would leave the city. This matter must be settled tonight. Letting them stay one more day will help distribute more supplies to the city. You must understand one thing, fighting against monsters is not something that can be accomplished overnight. Even if we save a little more supplies, it can help us survive one more day in the confrontation with the monsters. If you want to live longer, you must be more selfish than other people. You will understand my good intentions later. Seeing that Zhang Qi had already issued an ultimatum to execute the order, Xiao Han, as an assistant, naturally did not dare to disobey his leader's order. The list of all the psychics who had sacrificed their lives was determined within just a few minutes. The lists of their family members who were settled in the 4 major cities were also locked at the same time. The task of cleaning up was assigned to the guards of each city. That evening, the mighty teams of psychics from the 4 major cities shuttled through the city, attracting the attention of many passing residents. Ever since the frequency of monster attacks weakened 9 years ago, it has been a long time since we saw any teams of psychics carrying out large-scale activities in the city. On weekdays, it is basically a small-scale operation like catching thieves. Could it be? Did a monster sneak into the city? At the thought of danger, many people retreated and hid back home. Soon, they discovered that these teams of superpowers were not targeting monsters, but humans. Let go. Let me go. A mother and daughter were forcibly dragged out of the room by a team of superpowers. Because of her strong resistance, the woman, who was only 30 years old, lost one of her shoes. There was a lot of dust on the hem of her skirt, and the red marks on her arms were particularly eye-catching, but she still held the child, who was only a few years old, tightly, looking miserable. Why are you arresting me? We haven't done anything wrong. What else do you want to do wrong? It's a mistake for you to stay in the city now, leave now. What? You want to drive us out of the city? My husband is also a member of the Alliance. According to the regulations, family members can also live in the city. Are you going to openly violate the Alliance's regulations? The woman was about to collapse. There was no man to support her at home. As a weak woman with a child, she had no way to challenge these people with special powers. Although there were a lot of onlookers, most of them were just watching the show. Bah! It seems you still won't cry until you see the coffin. Since we told you to get out of the city, someone from above must have given the order. Lead member? It used to be but not now. We just received the latest news from the Alliance headquarters. Your husband's name is not on the member list, but on the deserter list. According to Article 137 of the Alliance's Iron Law, anyone who deserts the battlefield in any form will be deprived of all the privileges of being a member of the Alliance, and will be punished along with his or her relatives. Not holding you accountable is already a kindness from the Alliance to you. Why don't you get out of here? Impossible. How could my husband be a deserter? The disheveled woman's eyes were filled with tears and disbelief. She didn't understand why her husband, who had always been so responsible, suddenly became a deserter. Or maybe that's why the League defined him as a deserter. Now the only thing she can rely on is the cold wall behind her. There must be some misunderstanding here, it must be a misunderstanding. Maybe he just lost contact with the headquarters temporarily. He definitely can't be a deserter. The woman obviously did not accept this conclusion. After thinking for a moment, she decided to speak up for her husband. You were stationed outside for the sake of the entire alliance, but you can't even come home, and now you are inexplicably labeled a deserter. Who could accept this? As if he was annoyed by the woman's noise, one of the psychics came forward with an annoyed look on his face and raised his hand to slap him. Bang! A crisp sound. The woman, who was already on the verge of collapse, collapsed to the ground under the slap, and a clear palm print appeared on her fair cheek. The physical fitness of the psychic is far beyond that of ordinary people. This slap even knocked out several teeth. The little girl who was held tightly in the woman's arms also fell to the ground and started crying loudly. Mom, Mom, what's wrong with you, Mom? Wake up. FK. How could this bit hit someone? And hit a powerless woman? It's really speechless. It's fine to enforce the law impartially, but how can you hurt someone? Alas, this orphan and his widowed mother, if anyone is to blame, it should be the man of the family. His wife is still in the city, how could he still think of deserting for his own selfish desires? That's right, he is living a carefree life, but his wife and children are suffering. The situation outside is so dire right now. If we are driven out of the city, we will probably die. No matter what, you can't just hit someone. Besides, they didn't do anything out of line. That's right. He started beating people up after just a few words. Is there any law or justice left? Because of the physical injury, the atmosphere of the show changed slightly. Among the crowd, there are some people with a strong sense of justice. However, due to the reputation of the Tianxing Alliance, they did not dare to openly step forward to stop these special ability teams from committing crimes. But some people have already taken out their cell phones to take photos and videos, and countless cameras are pointed at this team of psychics like gun muzzles. Chapter 55. When the leading psychic saw that the situation was not good, he immediately stopped the crowd from taking photos and videos. Put your phones away. How dare you take pictures of everything? Do you think your life is too long? This mother and daughter are the family members of deserters. We are following the rules and there is nothing wrong with that. Anyone who obstructs us will be driven out of the city. Someone, come here. Catch all of these people taking photos with their cell phones. Some of the mobile phones that were held forward were smashed on the spot by the psychics. Seeing that the situation was about to get out of control, the crowd immediately dispersed. Although some people were still filled with righteous indignation, they could only swallow their anger because they knew the methods of these psychics. That's human nature. Before the fire burns your head, it is normal to stand aside and watch. This is the trend of the times. Seeing that the crowd was gradually dispersing, the team of psychics also understood each other very well and did not continue to chase. Their purpose was just to disperse the crowd, not to really kill them all. First, they have no official origin. Second, there is no need for that. What's more, they were the ones who were at fault in the first place, so there was no need to fall out with these people. The matter had basically come to an end at this point, but the captain of the superpower team did not forget to glare fiercely at the culprit. Look at what you have done, why don't you get out of here right away? You are a guy who is always causing trouble instead of helping others. Public opinion can kill people. If I hadn't reacted quickly just now, you would have been in trouble if these images had been posted online. Realizing that he had gotten into trouble, the psychic smiled awkwardly and stepped aside at a loss. Same time. The civilians who were forcibly driven out of the city by the superpower team were far more than just this innocent mother and daughter. There were also some elderly people over 50 years old and some babies, regardless of gender, age, or status, all within the scope of the cleaning. Children who were playing were forcibly tied up and dragged away, and the elderly who were sleeping peacefully in bed were also forcibly pulled out of bed. Some psychics who still have a conscience may be a little slower in carrying out orders. But the methods used by most people with special abilities are extremely brutal. Don't care at all whether there is a possibility of getting hurt. Sir. I am so old now. If I leave the city, I will die. My lord, I can leave, but can you let my child stay in the city? He is too young and can't adapt to the environment outside. Sir. Please give us some leniency. We will repay you in our next life by working like slaves for you. Get lost. What's the point of begging for mercy here? We have no choice but to execute the orders from above. Do you think I should go against the will of the Alliance for you? I'll give you a break? Don't even think about it. I want to know who can give me a break. Let's talk about the next life and the next life. Even if the King of Heaven comes today, you have to get out. Under a series of tough measures, a total of 300 to 400 people were forcibly locked up at the gates of the 4 major cities. A few young men, full of youthful vigor, immediately turned around and started clapping at the tightly closed city gate. No matter how they knocked on the door and shouted, they never got any response. The woods outside the city were filled with gloom, and the area covered with dead trees and wasteland showed no sign of life. The desolate scene outside the city wall formed a sharp contrast with the prosperous scene inside the city. The families of the superpower branch members who were driven out of the city seemed to understand that there was no room for maneuver in this matter. Some older people couldn't help but shed tears when they saw the young and vibrant lives around them. The news of driving the deserters' families out of the city was completely blocked at the instruction of the top leaders of the Tianxing Alliance. As a result, apart from those who witnessed the scene, not a single word of the incident was leaked out. Master Zhang, everything has been done. Han Ziyu stood beside the desk, his tone revealing deep fatigue, as if all his strength had been drained away. He had just been standing on the city gate and witnessed with his own eyes the old, weak, sick, and disabled being driven out of the city. It's not that he hadn't thought about stopping this absurd behavior, but what reason and power did he have to do so? He didn't understand why the Tianxing Alliance, which used to fight for the people, had become what it is today. Not only did they drive away the war god who had been stationed on the southern border for 10 years, but they also cleared these innocent civilians out of the city. Deserter? Han Ziyu just sneered in his heart, but did not dare to show any expression on the surface. Since the founding of the Tianxing Alliance 10 years ago, there has never been a deserter in any battle, big or small. There was no such thing before, and there is even less so now. Those people not only think about themselves, but also about their families who are sheltered in the city. How could a superpower who had been stationed at the border branch for so many years for his family suddenly become a deserter? The relationship between them was too complicated and far beyond the ability of a small secretary like him to handle. Very good, I want to take this opportunity to kill a chicken to scare the monkeys. We are about to fight a great battle with the monsters. If anyone shakes the morale of the army, they will all be punished in this way. Zhang Qi seemed very satisfied with the result, even though the chicken used to scare the monkeys was a fake. At this point, Zhang Qi's eyes suddenly flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. At worst, there are city defense formations in these 4 major cities. I don't believe that monsters can break through these formations. When Han Ziyu's gaze met the coldness in Zhang Qi's eyes, he couldn't help but shudder. Although I don't understand what Zhang Qi is thinking, I can tell from his eyes that it is definitely not a good thing. By the way, Master Zhang, there's news coming from the garrison troops on the northern border, saying that there's an important matter that needs to be discussed with the master. Oh? People from the northern border? Yes. Well, go and make arrangements. Tell them the meeting will start in half an hour. Got it, I'll do it right away. Southern border. Sparkle Lion Space. After a whole day of construction, the originally scattered civilian gathering place has been completely transformed. To be precise, the civilian gathering place can now be officially named the Sparkle Lion Space. High walls were built around the base, and the makeshift tents built by civilians with dead wood and leaves were replaced with simple wooden houses, which were arranged in neat and orderly rows. Although its scale and prosperity were still many times less than those of the 4 great cities, it at least had everything it needed. Every human being here has a vibrant look on their face, full of hope to survive. This is a good start. Chapter 56. In fact, according to the original idea, the Spark Alliance's base did not need these outer walls. After all, without the biggest threat, the monsters, the effectiveness of the city walls has become infinitely close to zero. However, for civilians living in the era of monsters, especially those who have never felt a sense of security from the beginning to the end, their dependence on the city walls has turned into an obsession that cannot be eliminated. Even though the walls around here are useless, at least it seems to make me feel more at ease. What they pursue is never the material thing, but the spiritual comfort. So the city wall was built. There are people with earth-attributed abilities. If they want to expand the base in the future, they can simply destroy the city wall and rebuild it. For people with special abilities, as long as they don't do too much detailed work, their work efficiency is terrifying. This is also one of the important reasons why many low-level psychics can join the Tianxing Alliance. After all, there are always some repetitive basic jobs that need to be done by someone, and those high-level psychics will naturally not spend time on such trivial matters. Over time, a hierarchy of psychics has been formed with a vague positioning but applicable to most situations. Those below level C are life-related special abilities. Class C and above are combat-type psychics. The planting area and residential area have basically been completed. Those who were sent out to look for farming equipment, tools, and seeds also returned with full loads. With monsters in charge of transportation, efficiency has increased exponentially. Some civilians were so excited that they started farming and working overnight, wishing they could turn 1 minute into 2. Take a break, bro. The work can't be done in 1 day. Hey. Why are you taking a break? I feel full of energy now. This is the first piece of farmland of the Spark Alliance. We must complete it carefully and efficiently to live up to the trust of the Alliance Master and all the supernatural masters. The Alliance leader and his men have already provided us with a living environment. If we can't even solve the food problem, then wouldn't we become a burden to you all? We may not be good at fighting and killing enemies, but we are good at farming and planting crops. Yes. If it weren't for the leader's understanding of justice, we would have been eaten by the monster long ago. To put it mildly, not only was he eaten by the monster, he might have been pulled out. Just shut up. You're making me so sick I almost vomited my dinner. Under the illumination of firelight and moonlight, the sight of countless figures working in the fields was quite spectacular. Lin Sheng stood at the highest point of the Spark Alliance base, looking down at everything on the ground, feeling filled with emotion. This feeling is completely different from when he was the god of war in the Tianxing Alliance. Before, he was only concerned with killing the enemy and ignored many things. Not everyone deserves to die. Some people are courting death while enjoying the so-called life. Some people, however, are trying hard to live. The population of the 4 major cities accounts for nearly 70% of the total human population, but there are still many people living outside the safe area and have been without shelter for a long time. The main area affected is the southern border, followed by the northern border. But this does not mean that there are no signs of active monsters in other places, it's just that they are relatively rare, and the strength and combat effectiveness of the monsters themselves are far from reaching the point where it is necessary to send strong people to guard them. In those places that have been almost forgotten by the Alliance, only some low-level psychics with weaker strength are responsible for the defense. Those who were not even considered combat-type psychics in the 4 major cities also took up arms and fought bloody battles. It is impossible for people to stand on the same starting line. Many things are determined from the moment they are born. Children born in the 4 major cities can enjoy generous resources and the highest level of supernatural enlightenment, and thrive in a comfortable environment from an early age. For children born in border towns, having enough food and warm clothing is a luxury. No one knows which will come first, tomorrow or the monster. It is precisely because of this that this group of people will more purely and actively support the establishment of the Spark Alliance. Even if the Tianxing Alliance tries to bribe them by any means, they will not get any response. A drowning person finally grabs a life-saving straw. How can he easily give up this life-saving straw and choose another uncertain possibility? After all, the Tianxing Alliance didn't care about their lives at the time. Not only did they not have any resource support, they didn't even have any superpowers stationed there. Now that there is a new alliance that can provide them with a safe place to live, they will not hesitate for a moment on what to choose. Lin Sheng also made a surprising discovery. The world tree sapling had obviously grown much taller, and began to emit a strong aura of supernatural powers. After checking, I found that the world tree seedling had actually reached the primary stage. Primary stage, the world tree seedling can emit a supernatural aura to enhance and stimulate the surrounding creature's perception of supernatural powers. Even ordinary people have a certain probability of gaining supernatural powers. As the level of the world tree increases, this probability will also increase synchronously. In just one day, the world tree seedling has reached the primary stage. Such a rapid growth rate shocked Lin Sheng. But when he saw the progress bar of the world tree's growth, his ecstatic mood suddenly diminished. From the primary to the intermediate stage, the growth experience required for the world tree seedling is hundreds of times the original. Really? This ability to grow out of thin air grows extremely slowly. However, with the people in the base constantly providing nutrients for willpower, you can slowly level up. Even though it is only in the initial stage now, it has already begun to provide Lin Sheng with supernatural powers. Feeling the slight improvement in his body's supernatural powers, Lin Sheng felt much better. Don't miss the free improvement in strength. In addition, the world tree seedling has an extremely extraordinary ability, which is that there is a certain probability that ordinary people can also gain superpowers. This means that these civilians in the Spark Alliance base may become future mutants. This ability is equivalent to giving the Spark Alliance unlimited possibilities and a constant infusion of fresh blood. This is a very rare opportunity. However, for this kind of probabilistic event, the percentage is just an unstable value. Either 0 or 100%. The development of the Spark Alliance is on the right track. Next, we just need to do our best to destroy the Tianxing Alliance. Master Alliance Leader. When Lin Sheng was thinking about future development, Xi Xingwen's voice suddenly came from behind him. Chapter 57. The purpose of the Monsters Vanguard team is to continue to penetrate the human territory. There are still many places that have not been fully explored. So, I thought about taking some brothers to investigate. If there are civilians, bring them back to strengthen the foundation of the Spark Alliance. If there are any remnants of the Tianxing Alliance, we will find a way to kill them and eliminate future troubles. You. Lin Sheng raised his eyebrows, turned around and looked directly at Xi Xingwen, who was a little unconfident. He didn't mean to undermine the confidence of Xi Xingwen and those people with special abilities, but some gaps cannot be filled simply by enthusiasm. Once you make a wrong decision, the price you have to pay is not something that ordinary people can bear. There are currently only 70 psychics in the entire Spark Alliance, while the branches of the Tianxing Alliance often have hundreds of psychics stationed there. Among them, there are also A-level psychics. This level of defensive force may not be a big deal for monsters. But for these teams of varying strengths led by Xi Xingwen, that was definitely an insurmountable mountain. Master, some of our brothers have luckily broken through the bottleneck that has troubled us for many years. We currently have 3 A-level psychics and 27 B-level psychics. The rest of us also have a lot of room for growth, and can clearly feel our skills improving. But we have all been in Jingshui prison for too long. We have long lacked combat experience and can no longer keep up with the pace of the battle. If you don't improve yourself through actual combat, how can you play a role in the future when you fight against the Tianxing Alliance? Xi Xingwen's face was serious, and he said solemnly, "It is our honor to be protected by the Lord Alliance leader. If we do nothing and quietly wait for the demon beasts to destroy the Tianxing Alliance, wouldn't that be a shame for us? The oath I made to you outside Jingshui prison is still valid today. The Tianxing Alliance has caused our family to be destroyed. Even if it costs our lives, we must completely eradicate this cancer. According to the intelligence we have, under normal circumstances, the number of A-level psychics in the Tianxing Alliance branch will not exceed 3. We happen to have 3 A-level psychics. We are in the dark and they are in the light. We always have some advantages. So, we hope that the leader can approve us to attack a branch of the Tianxing Alliance. Seeing Xi Zingwen asking so seriously, Lin Sheng really couldn't think of any reason to refuse him. As Xi Zingwen himself said, these people have been oppressed by the Tianxing Alliance for many years. Just spending those years in Jingshui prison is enough to wear down a person's will. Not to mention that most of them were the breadwinners of their families before entering Jingshui prison. For everyone who knows about Jingshui prison, it is assumed that anyone with special abilities who enters it is almost certain to die. But he was still somewhat surprised at the improvement in the strength of these psychics. He didn't expect that the World Tree would have such a significant effect on their improvement. It's not like Lin Sheng hasn't tried to practice near the World Tree, but the improvement in his practice speed was almost negligible. This probably has something to do with realm. After all, the higher the realm, the more difficult it is to improve. Unless there is some kind of adventure, it is basically impossible to break through the shackles of one realm and reach the next higher realm. In that case, then go ahead. Thank you for your help, Lord Alliance Leader. After Xi Zingwen left, Lin Sheng shifted his gaze to the corner. Xiaozhou, you should go with us. After the air was silent for a moment, a figure suddenly walked out from where Lin Sheng's gaze was fixed. This person was none other than Su Xingzhou. Brother Sheng, how did you know I was here? Hearing this, Lin Sheng just chuckled and said, I've already noticed you from the moment you came. You have a good control over your aura. Apart from me, there seem to be few people in this world who can detect your sneaking. Thank you for the compliment, Brother Sheng. Brother Sheng, is it really okay to let them attack the branch of the Tianxing Alliance? After hesitating for a moment, Su Xingzhou mustered up the courage to say, you and I know the defense strength of the Tianxing Alliance very well. Even if the overall strength of the border branch is weaker, it is not comparable to these idle personnel. Whether in terms of equipment or strength, these branches of the Tianxing Alliance still have the advantage. If they want to go, why stop them? Seeing the growing doubt in Su Xingzhu's eyes, Lin Sheng just smiled helplessly. Xiaozhou, people are not that complicated sometimes. We live just for the breath in our hearts. For these people, the meaning of living is just to vent the anger in their hearts. The Tianxing Alliance caused them to lose too many things, and these things are precisely what cannot be compensated. Whether it's love or family affection, everything will disappear with the passage of time. What the Tianxing Alliance has taken away from them is not only their freedom, but also everything that should belong to them. Memories are the greatest punishment for those who are nostalgic. Perhaps only death in battle can be their best relief. Of course, it would be great if they could get over their problems on their own. Su Xingzhou nodded, not quite understanding. Brother Sheng, you have only met them a few times, is it worth trusting them so much? What if they are like the Tianxing Alliance? Small states, never worry too much about things that haven't happened. What belongs to you will come to you naturally. Why force what doesn't belong to you? Besides, I am no longer the young man who could be easily deceived. Lin Sheng's emotions fluctuated slightly, and the aura that escaped inadvertently made the entire Spark Alliance base feel an irresistible pressure. The impact of the fluctuations goes far beyond the Spark Alliance base. Even the wild beasts lurking deep in the forest are affected. The beasts that were still roaring and hunting a second ago now all lay on the ground tightly, not daring to make any noise, and even breathing became cautious. Those who follow me will prosper, those who go against me will perish. This is the only rule I set for the alliance. Lin Sheng's voice was low, but it contained an irresistible tone. Su Xingzhou looked at Lin Sheng's clothes fluttering wildly due to the fluctuations of the supernatural power, and his inner admiration had reached an unprecedented level. This is the brother Sheng whom he admires the most. The world is unfair? Then break all laws with one force. As long as you are strong enough, how can you be unfair? Chapter 58. After careful exploration by Xi Zingwen and others, they quickly located a branch base of the Tianxing Alliance. Even though it is a branch, the scale of the base should not be underestimated. The Alliance branch base stands on a vast plain, surrounded by a circle of towering walls. The city wall is constructed from a mixture of solid alloy and special energy reinforced stone, and looks extremely tough. It is also inlaid with some slightly flickering supernatural luster, as if using something as a medium to allow the city wall to continuously absorb energy from the heaven and earth and provide lasting protection. From time to time, a few patrolling psychics would pass by the city wall, and there were even small drones hovering around. Shall we just charge in? It seems that they don't have many guards. They are probably all sleeping soundly inside. Are you stupid? Xi Zingwen rolled his eyes. With the recent monster invasion trend so strong, do you think they will slack off? On the surface, there aren't many people patrolling, but if there's anything unusual, there will definitely be a lot of people rushing out. I learned from Su Xingzhou that even the branches of the Tianxing Alliance have energy deflectors on their walls. Unless there are multiple A-level psychics bombing the city wall continuously, it will be basically impossible to break through it. Unless you don't use your supernatural powers and use your physical strength to smash the wall. But we are human, not monsters. We don't have such exaggerated physical strength. It is definitely not advisable to confront them head-on. What's wrong with that? Su Xingzhou? When did you come here? Xi Zingwen, who was racking his brains for a countermeasure, was stunned when he heard Su Xingzhu's voice, and then showed an ecstatic look. There were already few A-level psychics in their team, and now with the addition of a powerful A-level psychic, that was naturally the best thing. Brother Sheng was worried that you wouldn't be able to accomplish your mission, so he sent me here to support you. I wonder what the best plan is, Xingzhou brother. What the brother just said is right. There is no need to think too much. Just go ahead and do it. Go straight in. Su Xingzhou shrugged and responded, what else? We are a formal alliance organization after all, not second-rate bandits. Although the scale is much smaller than that of the Tianxing alliance, it is not going to do those sneaky things. Since we are going to fight, let's fight them openly and honestly, and beat them all into submission. Oh, no, to deal with the scum of the Tianxing alliance, simply defeating them is not enough. It is better to kill them all to vent your anger. Su Xingzhu's words made everyone, including Xi Xingwen, feel a chill down their spine. Xi Xingwen's eyes changed when he looked at him. This guy is crazy. It's not hard to tell from his tone that what he just said was not a joke, but serious. Does this guy really want to kill him head-on? We have the strongest god of war backing us up. Do we need to be timid when dealing with a branch of the Tianxing alliance? Su Xingzhou was very dissatisfied with their timidity. I thought you came here with such a big fanfare, there would be a big battle. I didn't expect you to hesitate for so long. I am so disappointed. If this was the headquarters of the Tianxing alliance, it would be fine for you to be so calculating and careful in your consideration. The key is that their numbers may not be much greater than yours. Are you afraid to face this small difference in numbers? No one can stand this kind of provocation, especially a group of hot-blooded men. The pent-up fighting spirit in his heart was instantly aroused. Even Xi Xingwen, who was quite rational, felt the blood rushing to his head. Okay. Since brother Xingzhou wants to go, we brothers are not cowards, so we will risk our lives to accompany you. That's right. Su Xingzhu's face showed a crazy look, and without waiting for everyone to react, he jumped into the air and landed heavily on the city wall. The powerful ice attribute power was released the moment he landed, and the surrounding air became several degrees colder. Who are you? How dare you trespass into the Tianxing Alliance branch? They don't look like members of the alliance. Send out a warning signal and gather all the psychics. We have received an order from above. We have the priority to deal with anyone who trespasses into the base. No matter who this person is, kill him first. Such a reckless action naturally attracted many psychics who were on patrol to come and surround them. But Su Xingzhou, who was surrounded by the crowd, did not panic. Instead, he shouted loudly, I am Su Xingzhou, and I am here on the orders of the leader of the Spark Alliance to wipe out the remnants of the Tianxing Alliance. Spark Alliance? What kind of rubbish organization is that? I've never even heard of it. Hehehe, these days anyone can call themselves an alliance. There's not even a threshold. I'm afraid this guy must have had a fever that damaged his brain, to actually say such shameless words. He wants to wipe us out by himself. I don't know whether he thinks he is awesome or thinks we are rubbish. The forest is big, there are all kinds of birds, hurry up and get rid of this psychopath. The Tianxing Alliance's superpowers around burst into laughter, obviously not taking Su Xingzhu's words seriously. What if we are included? After Xi Xingwen and others reacted, they immediately climbed to the top of the city wall in their own way. At this moment, guards from other bases who received the warning signal also rushed to the city wall. Xi Xingwen roughly counted and found that this Tianxing Alliance branch actually had 127 people. There are 6 A-level psychics. Broke in. Xi Xingwen's heart skipped a beat. No wonder these people didn't panic when they saw the invasion of the A-level mutant. It turns out there are more A-level talents among them. Originally, I thought that since the number of high-level psychics was exactly equal, there would be no problem with a direct attack. But the problem now is that the other party actually has one more A-level psychic than them. That means someone is going to fight 2 A-level psychics alone. It is difficult to quickly resolve a battle of the same level, let alone a 1-on-2 battle, which requires extremely high combat power. The fighting opportunities between the superpowers are fleeting, and if you are not careful, you may die on the spot. No need to say polite words. Xi Xingwen, leave the 2 strongest men to me, and you guys will handle the rest. Su Xingzhu's eyes were filled with fighting spirit, and behind him were many ice cones formed by ice-attributed abilities, ready to be launched. It's no wonder that he was so emotional. He had been holding on to his resentment towards the Tianxing Alliance for too long. From leaving Jingshui prison to now, the only members of the Tianxing Alliance that Su Xingzhou has met are the 3 S-level psychics. During the fight between the 2 sides, Su Xingzhou did not gain any advantage, but his life was threatened again. And now, he finally has the chance to vent his anger. Chapter 59. Xi Xingwen was shocked. This kid doesn't consider the consequences at all when he starts fighting. It would be fine if they just charged directly into the enemy's base camp, but they directly decided to take on the 2 strongest enemies before the fight even started. Has he always been this brave? However, Xi Xingwen changed his mind and realized that since he could make the god of war go to Jingshui prison to rescue people, he must be very capable. Everyone, listen to our Xingzhou brothers and fight these bastards from the Tianxing Alliance. Those who have hatred should take revenge, those who have grievances should take grievances. Today, either they die or we die. There was no excessive confrontation or threatening words, and the 2 sides started to fight almost immediately after they met. The overwhelming supernatural powers kept colliding, making loud noises and dyeing the sky into various colors. Su Xingzhu's body was extremely fast, and every time he waved his hands, cold air spread out. The ice crystals condensed in the air instantly turned into sharp ice cones and shot towards the enemy at an astonishing speed. Wherever it passes, it leaves behind a series of cold tracks. Apart from some psychics who were too weak and were stabbed directly in the vitals by the ice cones, the vast majority of people did not suffer much substantial damage. There were 2 psychics who looked a little older, looking at Su Xingzhou with unfriendly eyes. You are so arrogant at such a young age. Do you think you are the strongest among the A-level psychics? A baby whose hair hasn't even fully grown out needs to go through some repairs before it can recognize its own position. Then let us, on behalf of your elders, teach you a lesson, you ignorant brat. A knife and a sword. One left, one right. One of them is a user with wind attribute, while the other is a rare user with gold attribute. Both of them are A-level psychics, so their power should not be underestimated. Why is my weapon out of control? Oh no. There's a gold-type mutant using his powers. Everyone, put away your weapons. The people of the Spark Alliance soon discovered that something was wrong. The weapons in their hands flew up into the sky involuntarily as if they had received some kind of omen. Xi Zingwen reacted the fastest and immediately ordered his teammates to put away all their weapons. The most difficult thing about a metal-attributed mutant is that it can control all metals within the target range. No matter who the owner of the weapon is, as long as the control requirements are met, he can use it. But some psychics didn't react in time and the weapons in their hands were sucked into the air. Dozens of sharp blades were suspended in the air, flashing with intimidating sharpness, aiming directly at Su Xingzhou who was standing on the open ground. At the same time, another A-level psychic with wind attribute moved. The wind is so strong. Endless strong winds blew from all directions, and many weaker psychics were blown off the city wall and fell half to death. Su Xingzhou, who was at the center of this terrifying wind pressure, had his knees half bent. Su Xingzhou continued to mobilize the supernatural powers in his body, which allowed his slightly bent body to slowly straighten up. This person has mastered the use of wind-attributed abilities to perfection, and the power of this move is not weak. The most troublesome thing is the countless invisible wind blades formed in the air. The blades that were suspended above his head were also controlled by another gold-attributed mutant and slashed through the air. No matter which person's supernatural power hits you, the damage you suffer will be immeasurable. Even though Su Xingzhou was full of vigor and vitality, he definitely didn't dare to be so arrogant as to withstand the killing moves of the two men. Su Xingzhou stomped the ground hard and retreated violently, making a seal with his hands as he moved forward. The temperature around him dropped suddenly, and the moisture in the air condensed quickly, forming a huge ice shield that protected him firmly. Two powers with completely different properties hit this huge ice shield heavily. The exquisite and perfect ice shield was instantly covered with spider-web-like cracks under the impact of these two terrifying energy fluctuations. Snap! The crisp sound of shattering brought faint smiles to the faces of the two A-level psychics who made the move. It seems that their combined attack was successful. But they didn't have time to be happy for long, as Su Xingzhou's voice came from behind the ice shield, with a bit of disdain and contempt. Replacing the elders in my family. The only person in this world who can call himself my elder is Brother Sheng. Are you worthy of being compared to him? Even if the immortal leader of your Tianxing alliance came, I'm afraid he wouldn't be qualified. Then, Su Xingzhou pushed with both hands, and the ice shield, which was already on the verge of collapse, suddenly burst and turned into countless tiny ice blades, pouring down on the two of them like a rainstorm. At the moment when the ice shield collapsed, the killing moves performed by the two A-level psychics also rushed towards Su Xingzhou with unstoppable momentum. And just a second before the two were about to touch, the ice attribute power that erupted in Su Xingzhou's body had almost reached its peak. Under the overload of using his supernatural powers, blood began to seep out of his mouth and nose. But the effect of this move is outstanding. The invisible wind blades in the air were actually frozen into outlines by the terrifying ice attribute. And the swords and weapons that were thrusting at them were also firmly frozen in midair and unable to move. Instead, the shattered fragments of the ice shield fiercely pierced the two A-level psychics who had not yet reacted. Even with the powerful supernatural powers protecting them, both of them had wounds of varying depths and blood constantly oozing out. By the way, many other supernatural beings in the Tianxing alliance around these two people were also affected. Suddenly, screams were heard everywhere. How is this possible? The two men had expressions of horror on their faces, and while using their special powers to force out all the fragments that were stabbed into their bodies, they stared at the young man in disbelief. They are both A-level psychics, but even if they join forces, they can't easily defeat this boy. The expressions of the two became more and more solemn. After all, they are superpowers who have guarded the border for many years, so they do have some combat experience. The ice shield that the young man had just condensed was not really intended for defense. It's used for attack. The real means of defense was the ice attribute power he released at the end, which was enough to freeze everything. No tricks, just strength. Defense is accomplished purely by relying on supernatural power strength. This is a life and death fight. What shocked them the most was that this young man could make a calm and clear assessment of the situation on the battlefield in such a short time. This alone has defeated many people. No. I suddenly feel that this child looks a little familiar. There are only a few A-level psychics this young in the entire alliance. Could it be that? It's Su Xingzhou. You mean, the boy who had a good relationship with the former god of war Lin Sheng. Who else could it be other than him? I heard that he was imprisoned in Jingshui prison, but I didn't expect that he would be released. After recognizing Su Xingzhou's identity, the two A-level psychics from the Tianxing alliance lost confidence and even lost the desire to take action. What they feared was not Su Xingzhou. It's Lin Sheng. The first god of war in the history of the alliance has made unsurpassed achievements in the history of all mankind. Chapter 60. Even if they really tried their best and risked their lives to kill Su Xingzhou, they would still have no chance of survival against such a legendary being. Advancing means death, retreating also means death. They have been cornered. We want to see Lin Sheng. We are all allies after all, and there is no grudge between us. There is no need to draw swords right away. Yes, yes, yes. You have hatred towards the Tianxing alliance, but we have never met each other, so why should we be enemies? Let your people lay down their weapons, and let's sit down and talk. Seeing that force was not working, the supernatural beings of the Tianxing alliance began to try to negotiate through words. Su Xing's contempt for them increased a little bit. He despised those who relied on their own power to bully others and thought of seeking peace as soon as they saw that the situation was not going well. If they are at a disadvantage at this moment, will the other party give them a chance to negotiate? Obviously not. Brother Sheng is not someone you can meet. No need to say more, come and fight. Wait. If we die, the alliance headquarters will definitely know. When the army approaches, no matter how many of you there are, you will all die. My sworn brother is working at the alliance headquarters. Even if you kill me, he won't let you go. One step back, the sky is wide open, one step forward, the sea is peaceful. We are all here to resist the monsters. Since we have the same goal, the Tianxing alliance and the Spark alliance are all human, aren't they? Seeing the anxious look on the other person's face, Su Xingzhou seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world and actually burst into laughter in front of so many people. Ha 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 ha, I'm dying of laughter. Do you think the Tianxing alliance has the energy to save you now? It seems that you have been at the border for too long and don't know much about the current situation of the Tianxing alliance. That's right. Given the current situation of the Tianxing alliance, we won't let you know any negative news. Otherwise, if you all run away, this border will be completely lost. I have a big news for you. I was not released from Jingshui prison by the alliance. I was killed. The Tianxing alliance is already in a state of panic, so how can they have the time to care about your affairs? Kill them. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. When the two heard this, they shook their heads decisively, thinking that Su Xingzhou was fooling them. Quiet Water Prison is not a place that can be easily breached. With so many forbidden magic stones, even Lin Sheng himself cannot break through the barrier. Hey, you even learned to answer quickly. Xizingwen kicked a Tianxing alliance superpower away and said with a smile, you guessed it right. That day, it was the god of war who broke through the Jingshui prison and allowed us to return to freedom. What the hell is this Jingshui prison? It's no match for the god of war. To be honest, we all came out of Jingshui prison. There is no doubt about it. It is the fact. At this moment, many members of the Tianxing alliance branch suddenly felt that their worldview had collapsed. And it completely collapsed. In their opinion, Jingshui prison is the most heavily guarded place in the world and a prison that cannot be broken into. But now someone told them that the most perfect defense point in their minds had been breached. Su Xingzhou turned his numb wrist and tilted his head left and right, and instantly there was a clicking sound. I heard that you often go to nearby towns to bully people. You guys are the old Li's daughter, and you even are the widow. You are simply beasts. The alliance headquarters may have tacitly approved of your actions, but God is watching what you do, and today I will enforce justice on behalf of God. The Tianxing alliance won't take care of it, so the Spark alliance will take care of it. If the Tianxing alliance can't take care of it, the Spark alliance will also take care of it. I may not know who of yours it is, but if I kill you all, the problem will be solved. I believe this is definitely not the first case, and it is not an accidental incident. I have no intention of arguing with you about the past. No snowflake is innocent when an avalanche occurs. The Tianxing alliance is so disgusting today, and your evilness is one of the main reasons. Only death is your final destination. Anyone who stands against Brother Sheng will be targeted by me and the Spark alliance. But Su Xingzhou didn't give them a chance to breathe. He flashed again and appeared behind one of them like a ghost. Although the other party had already reacted, because Su Xingzhou's speed of action was too fast, they could only watch him raise his hand and slap. The icy air instantly invaded the body of this gold-attributed A-level mutant, and in just a moment, it had frozen him into an ice sculpture. Then Su Xingzhou quickly turned to another person and stretched out his right hand in the air. The air suddenly turned cold, and the ice attribute power instantly condensed into a slender ice sword. The sword shines like a dragon, and the sword cuts the throat. Everything happened in a flash. By the time the other Tianxing alliance members reacted, the two strongest A-level psychics among them had already died at the hands of Su Xingzhou without any resistance. This is definitely the greatest way to boost morale for the Spark alliance. Brother Xingzhou has already succeeded, we can't be left behind. Kill these remnants of the Tianxing alliance. It's time to make them pay for their sins. The two sides were clearly evenly matched, but due to Su Xingzhou's first kill, they were directly suppressed one-sidedly. The impact of morale on large-scale group battles is even more exaggerated than the actual strength. A figure who had been hiding in the dark and had not taken any action saw that the situation was not good and hurriedly ran towards the depths of the alliance branch base. In just a few minutes, the brutality of the battle was far beyond imagination, and the city walls were already covered in blood. After killing two A-level psychics, Su Xingzhou's aura weakened a lot, but he was still able to hold on and kill several B-level psychics in succession. But the strength of his ability was only A-level after all. Under the overload operation, he finally couldn't hold on when the battle was nearing its end. If Xizingwen had not been quick to grab Su Xingzhou, who was about to fall to the ground, he would have fainted on the spot. Hey! Xingzhou brother! Are you okay? No. It's okay, I just consumed too much energy. Hurry up and see if there are any remnants of the Tianxing alliance. If not, we can find a lot of good stuff here. For now, there shouldn't be any. Before Xizingwen finished speaking, the joy of victory on his face disappeared instantly. Instead, there is fear. Even Su Xingzhou, who was nearly unconscious, tried hard to lift his head and look up at the sky. This breathy Euro. Chapter 61. Something's wrong. How could there be an aura beyond that of an A-level psychic? How could a branch of the Tianxing Alliance be guarded by an S-level supernatural being? Even at the headquarters of the Tianxing Alliance, there may not be any S-level psychics. What's going on? Xizingwen was shocked. He had never met Feng Yuanlong, Feng Yuanhu, and Qi Li, so he naturally didn't know that there were other S-level psychics in the world besides Lin Sheng. Little did they know, Lin Sheng had already surpassed the S-level. Don't panic. The Tianxing Alliance has obtained a lot of things from the ruins over the years. They have gathered together all the elixirs that can enhance the strength of superpowers and implemented the so-called God-making plan. Before, 3 test subjects were killed by Brother Sheng and his monster beasts. Although I don't want to admit it, I still have to say that the Tianxing Alliance has a really strong foundation. When Su Xingzhou said these words, he gritted his teeth and squeezed them out word by word. Back then, they had fought hard on the border for so many years and made great contributions to the Alliance's exploration of the ruins, but in the end they did not receive any reward from the Tianxing Alliance. Not to mention the elixir, not even a single hair was seen, as if everything they did was just as it should be. On the contrary, those who flatter and fawn on the top leaders of the Alliance receive a steady stream of resources. The person who is now selected as the seed person of S-level superpowers must have been manipulated by some means. In terms of seniority and achievements, it would never be the turn of Feng Yuanlong and his 3 men. How dare you, a mere rat, attack the branch of the Tianxing Alliance? The question spread like thunder, causing a sharp pain in people's eardrums. A human projection appeared in the air. He was a middle-aged man who looked to be around 40 years old, with a stern face and a head of black hair that made him look much more capable and refreshing than his actual age. He was wearing a black combat suit, his body was muscular, his muscle lines were smooth but not exaggerated, revealing a restrained and powerful sense of strength. Kimura Makoto. Su Xingzhou was in a trance for a moment. He was not unfamiliar with this person. He was even very familiar with him. To be precise, there is a feud between the two of them. This person is a supernatural being from the Sakura country, and he lives with the supernatural beings from the beautiful country in the Panhai city near the east. And Fanhai city is also one of the 4 major cities. Because it is relatively close to the sea and has unique marine resources, it has greater economic advantages. However, there is also a fatal disadvantage, which is that the crop yield is very low, and it is necessary to trade with the other 3 major cities. The reason why Su Xingzhou was so familiar with them was because the superpowers of Sakura country had once gone to the southern border with the superpowers of Dragon country to provide support. When faced with a large number of monsters, the group of Sakura country psychics led by Kimura Makoto turned around and fled. If Lin Sheng had been a little slower in coming to support them, they would have all perished. The excuse these people gave was that they didn't speak the same language and they mistakenly thought that they were the supernatural beings from Dragon country who asked them to escape first. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that this is just a lame excuse. It just so happened that the alliance had just been established not long ago, and if the intensity of the handling was not controlled properly, it would easily affect the overall unity of the alliance. Therefore, the top leaders of the alliance adopted the attitude of making a big deal out of a small matter, and only imposed some economic penalties on those Sakura country psychics who fled from the battlefield. It is precisely because of this way of handling things that the psychics in Sakura Valley have become more and more unscrupulous. That year, all countries made a lot of efforts, but the Sakura country was the only one that almost reaped the benefits. But it happened that these guys in Sakura country who lived a good life were very lucky. They explored many ruins on their own and brought out many treasures from them. They also knew that they played basically no role in the war on the southern border. If you don't bleed a little to show your appreciation, it's not impossible that you will be kicked out of the alliance. Therefore, they simply offered their services by handing over all the things they brought out from the ruins to the alliance headquarters. So, the top leaders of the Tianxing Alliance, who received the so-called compensation, naturally eliminated the negative impression of the Sakura country's slackness in fighting. Among this group of sneaky people, one of the most disgusting Sakura country psychics is Kimura Shin. This guy not only likes to rob women, but also likes to suppress those with weaker abilities than him, torturing them to get that extremely twisted pleasure. I never thought that such a person who could be called a scumbag could be used by the alliance as a trainer of S-level superpowers. This Tianxing alliance has really come to an end. Su Xingzhou. Kimura Shinai recognized Su Xingzhou and taunted him mercilessly. Ha 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 ha, I heard a long time ago that you and your loser brother Sheng were kicked out of the alliance. Now I see it's true. Why, you don't dare to challenge the headquarters, but only dare to do something small with some branches on the border. Do you find it incredible to see me break through the S-level realm? The current Tianxing alliance is no longer the same as before. All member states of the Tianxing alliance have their own S-level superpowers. This is the opportunity bestowed upon us by the alliance. You are short-sighted people who only care about immediate benefits and ignore long-term considerations. If you don't leave, you might have a chance to become an S-level supernatural being in Dragon Country. What a pity. What a pity. From the moment you took the wrong path, you were doomed to have no chance of reaching the S-level realm. Kimura Shin grabbed at the air, and a terrifying wave of energy that could crush everyone present instantly swept across the entire branch base. Su Xingzhou only felt that there was an irresistible force binding him tightly. If he hadn't used his powers excessively, he might have had a chance to break free, but now. There's no way to break free. Seeing that the situation was not good, Xingwen quickly summoned everyone in the Spark Alliance to help. But before they could get close, they were swept aside by another huge force. After Xingwen finally managed to stabilize himself, his heart was beating wildly. There are still strong ones. Behind Kimura Makoto, another projection appeared. A powerful aura suddenly appeared, and it turned out to be the projection of another S-level supernatural being. Judging from his facial features, this person seems to be younger than Kimura Makoto, but their appearances are completely different. He has blonde hair, blue eyes, and very fair skin, and is obviously a Caucasian. Kimura Makoto, you are really fast. Are you so impatient to prove yourself to the Lord Alliance leader? Ralph, this guy's head is mine, don't interfere. Chapter 62. Kimura Makoto's face was gloomy, and he looked at the white man with superpowers who appeared out of nowhere with an extremely unhappy look, and his clenched fists tightened even more. Su Xingzhou, whose movements were restricted, could only feel that the overwhelming force was shrinking, and it was almost suffocating him. Oh. According to the latest iron law, after the border branch sends out a distress signal, all S-level psychics who receive the message must immediately provide projection support through their psychic devices. Now we will evaluate the effectiveness and frequency of support, which will determine the reward. Whoever kills first will get the credit. Ralph seemed to be completely unaware of Kimura's real hostility, and at the same time attacked Su Xingzhou, who was unable to move. Completely different from Kimura's superpowers, Ralph's superpowers are even more violent. The moment the supernatural power appeared, the air around him even seemed to be shattered. Spatial-related paranormal ability. Xingwen's face changed drastically. He also knew that the current situation was no longer under their control. Space-related abilities are relatively rare in themselves, and there are very few methods and means to combat them. In addition, the opponent has already reached the S-level realm, and the gap between him and the A-level psychic is as huge as a chasm that is difficult to make up. Not to mention him alone, even if everyone present risked their lives, they might not be able to rescue Su Xingzhou. Hurry up and send someone back to inform the leader that the Tianxing Alliance actually has a facility that can project S-level psychics over here. Damn it. I've never heard of such a magical device before. How many cards does the Tianxing Alliance have hidden? Since it is possible to project S-level psychics here, why are there so many psychic divisions being destroyed one after another? With so many questions and pressures coming at him at the same time, Xingwen felt that his brain was not enough. Should we retreat? Retreat? Are you kidding me? Are you going to be like those scumbags in the Sky Star Alliance, abandoning your companions at the slightest danger? I'm saying send one person back to tip off the enemy, and the rest of you should follow me and fight to the death against the projections of these two S-level psychics. I don't believe that a mere projection can bring out the power of an S-class psychic. Pressure can bring out infinite potential in people. Xingwen rushed forward and used all his abilities to block Su Xingzhou. Xingwen. What are you doing? Su Xingzhou's pupils suddenly shrank. He had already prepared for life and death, but he didn't expect that someone would be willing to stand in front of him. Are you crazy? There are two S-level psychics on the other side. Even if they are just projections, their strength is enough to crush you. There's no need to make such a meaningless sacrifice. What you need to do now is to preserve your strength. Brother Sheng will avenge me. What nonsense. I, Xingwen, have been doing nothing all my life. Although I am not strong, I am not to the point of abandoning my companions. In my dictionary, there is only death in battle, no escape. Don't worry, I have arranged for a wind-attributed mutant to go back to the base and give the news. I will not leave here until the leader arrives. Seeing this, the others followed suit, completely forgetting the fear they had when they saw the two S-level psychics appear. The shield formed by dozens of people actually delayed the attack of two S-level psychics for a moment. It's like an ant trying to shake a tree. This team of superpowers that doesn't even have a few A-level superpowers dares to challenge me. Kimura Makoto, let's see who kills more. I'm afraid your mediocre skills are no match for my spatial abilities. As the two laughed loudly, the terrifying pressure covering the entire place intensified again. Behind Xingwen, when he wasn't noticing, a space crack appeared out of nowhere. Watch out behind you. Su Xingzhou reminded him immediately, but his reminder was still a little slow. To be precise, Xingwen heard his reminder, but he had no chance to respond. All his superpowers were used to resist the two attacks from the S-level superpower users in front of him, so how could he possibly get away? The huge gap in strength between the two sides made him dare not slack off, otherwise he would end up being shattered to pieces. Call out. An arrow condensed by supernatural power passed through the space crack and stabbed towards Xingwen's back at an extremely fast speed. This angle is aimed directly at the heart. Seeing that the attack was about to succeed, Ralph's face was filled with a smug smile. Kimura Shin. This is the chance to kill the first A-level invader. I'll take it first. The ecstasy on Ralph's face intensified, but at this moment, time seemed to stand still. The arrow that was about to pierce the heart from behind was held in place by an unknown force. Whether it was Xingwen or Su Xingzhou, they were both in a state of absolute stillness. Even the projections of the two S-class psychics were unable to take any action. I can't believe that the Star Alliance isn't so conservative. They'll come up with something new when pushed into a corner. There was a sudden distortion in the sky, and then a crack connecting nothingness appeared out of thin air. Lin Sheng stepped out of the crack, glanced at the arrow behind Xingwen, and smiled disdainfully. Then he stretched out a finger and gently touched the tip of the arrow. Snap! The arrow shattered with a sound. Then Lin Sheng raised his right hand and slammed his palm towards Kimura Shin and Ralph. A huge flaming palm pushed forward, destroying the combined power moves of the two people on the spot. And time returned to normal at this moment. Xingwen stumbled forward without the resistance in front of him. If he hadn't reacted quickly, he would have fallen flat on his face. What's going on? Am I going to die? Die. There are only two of you, I won't kill you. Master Alliance Leader. When Xingwen heard Lin Sheng's voice, his dull eyes instantly brightened up. He is not stupid. The situation just now was a dead end. If you dodge the arrows, you will be smashed to pieces by the attack from the front. If you don't dodge the arrow, you will be pierced through the heart and die. It's death anyway. Although I don't know when the Lord Alliance Leader came, as long as the crisis is resolved, it must be the Lord Alliance Leader who took action. Thank you, Lord Alliance Leader, for your help. You're welcome. You've done a good job. Leave the rest to me. When Lin Sheng said this, he not only looked at Xingwen, but also at Su Xingzhou. After hearing these words, Su Xingzhou forced out a smile that was uglier than crying, and fainted as if his soul had been sucked out. The moment the time confinement ended, Kimura Shin and Ralph felt a scorching heat coming towards them. The power of this supernatural power was more exaggerated than any battle they had ever experienced. They have a feeling. If they didn't try their best to resist, this attack might shatter their projections on the spot. Chapter 63. The two of them did not dare to slack off at all, and tacitly put aside their previous prejudices and joined forces to resist. The two of them attacked with almost all their strength, blasting towards the flaming handprint that was burning and distorting the surrounding space. Boom! The combined powers of the two collided with the flaming handprint that Lin Sheng had shot out, and the aftermath directly destroyed the surrounding city walls. Even the bricks under my feet had fine cracks, as if they would shatter into pieces in the next second. Even though they barely managed to neutralize the flaming handprint, Kimura Shin and Ralph were not in much better condition. The projection from Panhai City was obviously much dimmer, obviously due to huge consumption. Blazing Palm? Who are you? Kimura Makoto's face turned pale. They were S-level psychics, and there was a huge difference in strength between them and A-level psychics. Although his movements were restricted just now, his consciousness was still able to remain active. Therefore, the two of them saw very clearly the scene of Lin Sheng tearing through the space and walking out. We also saw Lin Sheng crush Ralph's arrow into powder with just one finger. This person's strength is obviously far beyond imagination, even beyond their cognition. The space power is not something that can be easily resisted. If you are not careful, you may be attacked by this power. Even if he was an S-level psychic, he would never dare to touch the items created by the space-related psychic power so casually. But this person can not only stop time, but also cross space, completely ignoring the negative effects of space power. The projection equipment they used was also a different way of crossing space. But compared to the main body cross-domain, the difference is not that simple. So far, they have never heard of any secret method that can allow a superpower to travel to a certain place. Ralph's eyes flickered, and his brain worked rapidly, and he seemed to have come to a conclusion that terrified him. There is only one person in this world who can use the blazing palm. You are Lin Sheng. Lin Sheng? God of War Lin Sheng. When Kimura heard Ralph shout out that name, his voice actually rose a few degrees. This name not only makes the lower ranks of the Tianxing Alliance worship it, but also has a profound influence in the circles of higher-level supernatural beings like them. After all, the value of being the first S-class superpower in the entire human race is not something that can be matched by those who come later. Although his appearance and aura have changed a bit, you can still vaguely see his former self. Ralph's face darkened. He was very reluctant to believe this conclusion, but the facts were before him. This guy who saved people by himself and almost dispersed the two of their projections. It's the God of War Lin Sheng. I remember you guys are the superpowers from Sakura Country and Pretty Country, right? 3 S-level psychics have just fallen, and now 2 more have appeared. It seems that the Tianxing Alliance has been making a lot of big moves recently. Lin Sheng is famous for his good memory. He has some impression of everyone he has met. Although I can't call out the other person's name directly, I can at least know the country they belong to. Lin Sheng, your contribution to mankind is indeed immeasurable, but don't forget that there are more than 1 S-level capable people in the world now. Put aside your condescending attitude. The Tianxing Alliance is not an existence you can just ignore. After Ralph calmed down from the shock in his heart, he quickly returned to his arrogant state. The 3 people who died before were experimental subjects. They had reached the level of supernatural power, but their own strength was not up to par. Rather than saying they are S-class psychics, it's better to say they are A+ class psychics. They are still far from the real S-class. Moreover, the current Tianxing Alliance is no longer the same as before. Including us, there are a total of 9 S-level psychics. How is it? Are you surprised to hear this number? The fact is, the world will still turn without you, and the Alliance will not fall apart. You used to be the God of War of the Alliance, but you obviously colluded with these guys and attacked the Alliance branch. After Ralph said this, he tried to read a hint of anger on Lin Sheng's face. He couldn't wait to see this guy getting angry and helpless. But Lin Sheng's expression remained unchanged. Seeing Ralph so excited, it was like watching a clown. God of War? You can take that title if you want. Only incompetent people like to waste their breath. In the world of superpowers, strength is everything. Come, let me see how much you weigh. Lin Sheng hooked his finger at Ralph and Kimura, and said in a very contemptuous tone, "Come on, both of you, come together. I hope you are worthy enough to let me use my full strength." Arrogant. Do you really think you are the only S-level psychic in the entire alliance? Since you are seeking death yourself, don't blame us for attacking together. The majority is bullying the minority. Ralph and Kimura looked at each other, as if they were communicating their plans through their eyes. But before the two could make the next move, a lightning snake with fire power descended from the sky. It hit Ralph's projection directly. Kimura only felt a terrifying wave of supernatural power coming from his side, and after a moment he could no longer sense Ralph's presence. Right now, Ralph, who was far away in Panhai City, was suddenly ejected from a sophisticated container. He lay on the ground with a face as pale as paper. With a frown, he spat out a large mouthful of blood. There was infinite fear in his eyes. This power. Is it really possible for a human to emit that? The moment he was hit by the lightning snake, Ralph felt like a drop in the ocean of the universe. A flick of his finger was enough to kill his projection in an instant, and this was before either of them could react. In fact, neither he nor Kimura saw any movement or sign of Lin Sheng releasing his secret technique. It was as if this power was instantaneous. Such terrifying speed and strength are enough to crush any S-level psychic in the current alliance. Not to mention the projection, even if his real body was hit by that attack, he would be seriously injured. I've never heard of Lin Sheng having lightning attributed abilities before. Could it be some kind of lightning magic? The culture of Dragon Country is too ancient, so it's not surprising that there are some magical things there. Lin Sheng's strength seems to be even better. We must report this news to the alliance. Enduring the pain, Ralph dragged his injured body to his feet, then stumbled out the door. Southern border. The Tianxing Alliance branch base. No. No more. Kimura's body trembled. After repeated confirmation, he was almost certain that it was not an illusion. It wasn't his perception that was wrong. Ralph's projection was destroyed in an instant. They are now S-level psychics, no longer as powerful as they were before, A-level psychics. How could it be killed instantly? Could it be that the difference in strength between them was so great that they didn't even have time to react? Chapter 64. As a god of war, he is so shameless and lacks martial ethics. We agreed to let the two of us attack together, why did you launch a sneak attack? Kimura Makoto was actually scared to death, but he still refused to admit the fact. In this regard, all the supernatural people in the entire Sakura country are equally shameless. Lin Sheng played with the supernatural power that was leaping at his fingertips, and the aura of supernatural power that emanated from him from time to time made Kimura sweat profusely. You don't seem to understand our current position. This is not a drill, but a real fight. Could it be that you want me to tell you before I take action? Lin Sheng glanced at Kimura Shin, who was still in a state of shock, as if he was looking at a prey trapped in a cage. Never mind, this is a very strange request. I will mercifully give you a heads up. Next, it's your turn. You were the most ruthless just now. I have always looked down upon the supernatural beings from Sakura country. Now I am using you as a warning. When Kimura Shinichi heard that Lin Sheng was about to attack him, he was so frightened that his legs went limp. If there wasn't a wall behind him to lean on, he would have probably knelt on the ground and wouldn't have been able to stand up. This is just a projection of mine. Even if you kill my projection, it will only cause a little damage to me. Besides, you won't have the chance to kill me. I will cut off the connection to the projection right now. No matter how strong you are, you can't teleport to Fanhai City to find me. Lin Sheng chuckled, but it was this seemingly ordinary smile that made Kimura feel cold all over. Going to Fanhai City to kill you is more or less a waste of talent. After all, you are just an ant. Traveling such a long distance just to kill an ant is a sheer waste of time. You are right. You are just a projection now. It is difficult to harm your real body. But some difficulties do not mean that they cannot be done. Everything in the world depends on how strong you are. Isn't the purpose of our continuous improvement to make the impossible possible? Kimura Shin swallowed his saliva with a gulp. For some reason, he suddenly had a bad feeling in his heart. If I'm not mistaken, the projection device you used should have projected your entire consciousness over here. As long as your current projection can be imprisoned, your real body in reality should never wake up, right? After hearing this, Kimura Makoto's already panicked face turned pale instantly. Because Lin Sheng's guess was spot on. The operating principle of the projection facilities provided by the Alliance is indeed to project consciousness to the target location. To be more precise, it is to send the soul over. This is also the important reason why Ralph's projection suffered serious trauma after being defeated by Lin Sheng. Don't be ridiculous. Kimura suppressed his anxiety and tried to tell himself that Lin Sheng was just taking advantage of the power of others. I will unilaterally cut off the connection with the projection device, and my consciousness will soon return to my body. Unless you can really teleport to Fanhai City, there is no way you can stop me. Whether you can or not, you will know if you try it. If I want you to die, you have to die. Lin Sheng stretched out his right hand and reached forward. As his fingertips slightly twisted, a force that was exactly the same as the one that had imprisoned Su Xingzhou before, but with a bit more domineering power, suddenly erupted. Treat others the way they have treated you. In just a moment, this power accurately locked onto Kimura Shin's illusory and ethereal projection. The calm and peaceful supernatural elements in the air suddenly began to boil, and the intertwined lights of fire and thunder kept flashing. There seemed to be invisible chains intertwined in the air, tightly entangling Kimura Shin's figure, unable to break free. What is different from Kimura Shin's previous methods is that the power released by Lin Sheng not only has fire attribute power, but is also accompanied by piercing thunder, and the power fluctuations are even stronger. Let alone resistance, even breathing became a luxury for Kimura at this moment. However, Kimura was truly threatened with death, and his attention was not at all on Lin Sheng's supernatural attributes. Therefore, no thunder attribute ability was found mixed in with the fire attribute ability. But it was this unobvious thunder attribute ability that played a crucial role. Kimura's face became paler and paler, and he looked at Lin Sheng as if he was looking at a monster. What did you do? Why can't I disconnect the supernatural connection with the projection facility? The moment he was bound by the supernatural power, Kimura Shin had already begun trying to forcibly disconnect the projection connection. However, no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't cancel his projection. This situation is really too incredible. This is like a person who is playing a game on a VR device and then finds that he cannot exit the game. Although Xi Zingwen didn't know what happened exactly, he could basically guess from Kimura's anxious look that Lin Sheng had succeeded. As expected of you, Lord Alliance Leader. Even the projection of an S-class psychic is like garbage in his hands. Haha, this Sakura country psychic was so arrogant just now, why is he like a lost dog now? From what the Lord Alliance Leader said, it seems that as long as he is imprisoned, his body will never regain consciousness. Then, rounding it off, isn't it equivalent to destroying an S-class psychic from Sakura country? Kimura Shin heard almost every word of these mocking statements. The fear of the unknown and the uneasiness lingering in his heart have exceeded what he can bear. The undisguised ridicule became the last straw that broke the camel's back, causing Kimura to completely explode. Lin Sheng. You'd better let me go now. Do you know what you are doing now? You are targeting an S-class superpower who is being attacked by the Tianxing Alliance. You only have so many people under your command. Do you really want to fight against the Tianxing Alliance? You are just a bunch of small fry. Not to mention the Alliance, even the superpower army of my Sakura country is enough to easily kill you. If the Tianxing Alliance really wants to completely wipe you out and directly marches on you with its army, how will you respond? Let me go now, and I can promise you that I won't reveal any news about today. In this way, the Tianxing Alliance will naturally not come here to cause trouble for you. Seeing that Lin Sheng ignored him, Kimura immediately became angry and started to curse, you cowardly little man. Are you afraid to kill me because of the dignity of the Tianxing Alliance? How dare someone as short-sighted as you set up an organization to compete with the Alliance? How ridiculous. If you're a real man, kill me. The supernatural beings in Sakura country will definitely avenge me and kill you and all of your men. Lin Sheng completely ignored Kimura Shin, who kept growling and biting like a mad dog. The reason why this guy kept talking nonsense was simply to provoke him so that the projection could be killed. But his thoughts were too easy to see through. Chapter 65. Feeling that the peace talks are not going to work, you want to think about cutting off the gecko's tail? There are so many good things in the world. The thunder attribute ability has a certain influence on the various convenient facilities used by the ability users. He simply used his lightning attributed ability to completely wrap up Kimura Shin's projection in order to isolate his aura. In this way, Kimura Shin's projection seemed to be placed in a container isolated from the world. Although he was still in the real world, he no longer existed with respect to any facilities connected to his supernatural powers, and naturally could not interact with them in any way. This naturally includes the equipment that projects him to the branch base. No matter how sophisticated the equipment is, it still needs the user's special abilities as a medium. He directly eliminated the medium, so what should the other party do? Even if the people of Sakura country discovered that Kimura's consciousness was really imprisoned, it would be useless. The only solution is to defeat Lin Sheng. But in this case, Lin Sheng smiled coldly, and as his mind moved slightly, the energy wave that imprisoned Kimura suddenly became much stronger. Everyone felt that Kimura Shin's voice was as if blocked by some force, and it was completely silent. It's interesting to listen to dogs barking, but if the dogs bark too loudly, it's going to be annoying. I have completely sealed off the space around this person. He is now just an ordinary person without any special abilities. Take him back to the Spark Alliance, and you can use all the known means to torture him. But be careful not to torture him to death. When he is on the verge of death, I will heal his injuries. When you are tired of torturing him, I will imprison him in the heart of the demon clan. I want him to spend his entire life in agony, unable to live or die. Yes, sir. Xi Zingwen clasped his hands together and looked at Kimura Makoto with a fierce look. Thanks to the Alliance leader, I never thought that one day I would be lucky enough to kick an S-level superpower. You are the only one who has superpowers from Sakura country. After saying that, Xi Zingwen kicked Kimura in the abdomen without hesitation. This guy almost killed them before, and the most important thing for a person with superpowers is naturally his superpowers. An S-class psychic who has lost his powers cannot compete with an A-class psychic. As long as he wanted, he could naturally get rid of Kimura Shin, who had no ability to resist, anytime and anywhere. Unable to use the supernatural power he relied on for survival, Xi Zingwen's kick landed firmly on his lower abdomen. Kimura Shin was kicked to the ground, the intense pain made his face flushed, and his waist was bent like a shrimp. The Spark Alliance members who still had strength nearby also stepped forward to kick him a few more times to vent their hatred. In just a few minutes, Kimura Shin, who originally still had the energy to curse, was breathing out more than breathing in. Master Alliance. It seems we were a little too harsh. Looking at the half-dead Kimura Shin, Xi Zingwen gave an awkward smile. It's really hard to imagine that this guy was an invincible S-class psychic just a few minutes ago. Tisk, What kind of bullshit is this S-class mutant? In front of the Lord Alliance leader, you are nothing. Lin Sheng's temples throbbed. He had thought that this group of people would hit him hard, but he didn't expect it to be this severe. The punches and kicks that seemed to have no supernatural powers were actually fierce. However, this was more in line with his expectations. It doesn't matter. As long as he is still alive, I will find a way to pull him back from the brink of death. Lin Sheng simply raised his hand and released a bath of holy light. Under Lin Sheng's continuous release, the holy light power shone in the air like the sun. All the wounded people who were illuminated by the light were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. With just this one move, not only did all the wounded present recover from their injuries, but they also saved Kimura Shin, who was almost dead. Feeling that his breath was gradually recovering, Kimura's eyes were completely filled with despair. He never thought that one day he would not even be able to wish to die. Not only that, he was also bullied and abused by these ants whom he totally despised. This was not just torture, but also an insult to his personality that was difficult for him to accept. Lin Sheng. I will never let you go. Lin Sheng turned his head and met Kimura Mana's murderous eyes. Don't worry, I won't torture you for too long. I don't have that much energy to focus on an ant. When the day comes when I feel that torturing you can no longer provide me with emotional value, I will come to Oceanwide City in person. When the time comes, I will make sure you witness with your own eyes how I grind your body into dust, inch by inch. Xi Zingwen, keep an eye on him and let him enjoy the torture that has been passed down from ancient times in our dragon country. Don't worry about him dying from his injuries. It doesn't matter even if you torture him to death. Xi Zingwen immediately understood what he meant, and said with a very creepy smile on his face, got it. I will definitely entertain this distinguished guest from Sakura country. Xi Zingwen placed great emphasis on the words entertainment and distinguished guest. After the order was issued, Lin Sheng did not interfere with Xi Zingwen's subsequent actions. After all, cleaning up the mess takes a lot of energy. The scale of the entire branch base is quite large, and it would take at least a day or two to complete the inspection of each area. To be on the safe side, Xi Zingwen decided to lead the team himself to escort Kimura Shin back to the Spark Alliance base. No matter what, this is a genuine projection of an S-level psychic. Even though he was restrained by Lin Sheng, his strong physical strength was still beyond the reach of a low-level psychic. After today's incident, the two sides have become mortal enemies. If we allow such a huge hidden danger to slip away, the consequences are disastrous. As for the others, they stayed in the branch base to plunder valuable supplies to replenish the Spark Alliance's inventory. In the establishment of a new alliance, besides the most important population, the reserve of materials is also an extremely important part. If the alliance wants to go further, it cannot be without emergency reserve resources. Just like the current Tianxing alliance. If they had not preserved enough things brought out from the ruins, it would have been impossible to create so many S-level psychics. As for the Tianxing alliance, I'm afraid they would have been killed by monsters by now. After Xi Zingwen escorted Kimura Makoto and some of the supplies he had brought back earlier, the Spark Alliance base instantly became a buzz. Is this true? You guys went out and actually wiped out a branch of the Tianxing alliance. Wow, so many supplies and so many useful tools. Who is this guy covered in blood and missing a leg and an arm? Why is he being escorted by Lord Xi himself? I don't know. Was he missing limbs when he came? Chapter 66. Everyone. Under the leadership of the leader, we have successfully breached the Tianxing Alliance's branch base. We obtained a large amount of supplies and captured the consciousness of an S-level mutant. The supplies we brought back are just the tip of the iceberg. More supplies are on the way and will be transported back to our base in no time. Xi Zingwen did not say much, but simply announced the gains and results of this operation. It was this action that earned Lin Sheng a lot of faith points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1935 points of faith. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1467 points of faith. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2911 points of faith. The current host has a total of 60,149 points of faith. Finally broke through 60,000 points of faith. Lin Sheng was a little shocked and surprised by the speed of gaining faith value. You should know that to exchange for an S-level weapon, only 50,000 faith points are enough. From the first time I gained faith until now, only a few short days have passed. During this period, he basically did nothing, but picked up an S-level weapon for nothing. If this gets out, I'm afraid it will shock people. In the current Blue Star, high-level weapons and equipment are still very rare. Even the entire Tianxing Alliance cannot find a single S-level weapon. To exaggerate, let alone S-level weapons, there are only a few A-level weapons in the Tianxing Alliance's arsenal. Lin Sheng did not indulge in the joy of the surge in his faith value, because it was nothing compared to his future needs. It was indeed worth being proud of the certain achievements he had made, but right now he still had a lot of things to arrange. People's hearts need to be maintained through means. Although it is true that sincerity is exchanged for sincerity, there is still a saying that is widely circulated: since ancient times, deep affection cannot be retained, only routines can win people's hearts. A sincere person may be popular, but without some tricks, it is difficult for him to stay in a high position for a long time. High EQ speaks as a means, low EQ speaks. It's just scheming. Lin Sheng was not a scheming person before, because he felt that there was no need for so much intrigue in the world. But after going through so many things, he also understood a truth that was followed by all things in the world after many years of deduction. When people get along with each other, there is always one party that takes the lead, and that person determines whether the relationship between them is harmonious or not. Lin Sheng was naturally very uneasy about letting others take the leading role. In that case, let yourself take the lead. Lin Sheng raised his head and made sure that everyone's eyes were focused on him before he said in a dull voice, the rewards from this operation are very rich, but we also lost a lot of brothers. Although our Spark Alliance was established not long ago, I am very moved to see so many people working towards a common goal. Their sacrifices are valuable and should not be forgotten, so I have a proposal. Master, please speak. Next to the sapling I planted earlier, build a public cemetery to bury the mutants who sacrificed their lives for the Alliance. No, to be precise, it is used to bury all the lives that sacrificed for the Alliance. Whether they are ordinary people or superpowers, whether they are human or monster, as long as they fight for the Spark Alliance, they deserve to be remembered in our hearts. Death is never the end of life, being forgotten is. We in Dragon Country have always emphasized returning to our roots. They may come from all over the world, but as long as they come to the Spark Alliance, this is their root. It is also your root. As soon as these words were spoken, the whole audience fell silent. The suffocatingly quiet atmosphere lasted for 3 or 4 breaths. Master, you are so righteous. I have never heard of anyone erecting a monument for ordinary people in the Tianxing Alliance before. For a moment, I thought I had misheard or was hallucinating. It's not an illusion. So many of us heard it, could it be that we are all hallucinating? This is truly a historic moment. In the Tianxing Alliance, only those with superpowers above level B are eligible to enter the cemetery. I never thought that in our Spark Alliance, even ordinary people would have the opportunity to enter the cemetery and be revered by future generations. The key is the location of the cemetery. That is the very center of our Spark Alliance. I believe that the scale of our Spark Alliance is definitely not as large as it is now. In the future, with the coming and going of people, how many people will come to observe? Oh my god! I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. If I can have the opportunity to enter, I will do it even if it means going through fire and water. What Lin Sheng said just now was like throwing a bombshell into a calm lake. Even Xi Zingwen was shocked. This is such a beautiful statement. It not only appeased the superpowers who fought for the Spark Alliance, but also gave many civilians an image of being righteous. After all, under the oppression of the Tianxing Alliance, ordinary people without special powers have basically no human rights. Even though many civilians are qualified to live in the 4 major cities, it is because among their relatives there are people with special abilities who are beneficial to the Alliance. But there are always exceptions. Not all people with special abilities can join the Alliance, just like not all civilians are qualified to enter the 4 major cities. With the development of the 4 major cities and the Tianxing Alliance, the gap between the towns abandoned near the border and the 4 major cities became increasingly larger. As for burial, in an era when monsters are rampant and order is broken, corpses are basically buried in the mouths of monsters. How can there be a chance to bury them? Even if someone is lucky enough to keep an intact body, not everyone is qualified to be buried in the cemetery. There is a rule in the 4 major cities that only those with special abilities of level B or above can be buried when they die. As for those below level B and ordinary people, after their death, they would be thrown into a mass grave. In the context of the Great Era, no one would fight for the so-called burial. After all, it is not easy to survive. Who cares about what happens after death? But even under such a big premise, Lin Sheng actually promised everyone the right to a dignified death. This is not just a promise, but a respect for the personalities of these civilians and superpowers. Dignity is the least valuable thing in this era. Many people would give up their dignity just to survive. But if someone gives them dignity, who would reject a ray of light in the darkness? Only at this moment do they feel like a living person, rather than a lowly life that can be abandoned at any time. Chapter 67. Master Alliance Leader, you are truly a natural-born leader. Xi Zingwen couldn't help but sigh. Whether from an emotional or logical point of view, there was not a single flaw in what Lin Sheng had just said. It won't make people feel like they are just making empty promises. Because Lin Sheng planned the site right from the start and also clarified the burial rules of this public cemetery. All signs indicate that this was not a stopgap measure he came up with on the spur of the moment. Instead, it was after careful consideration that the final decision on the Alliance development plan was made. Master Alliance Leader. We appreciate your kindness. But the Spark Alliance is currently in the process of development. It is not the best idea to devote so much energy to building a public cemetery. To have the words of the Lord Alliance Leader, we, the Satellite Fire Alliance, will not hesitate even if we have to die in battle. Many civilians were so moved that their eyes were red and there was a noticeable tremor in their voices. They did not cry when they were abandoned by the Tianxing Alliance, and they did not cry when they were threatened by monsters. But when I am cared for and concerned about others, I can't suppress the sadness that wells up in my heart no matter what. No, now that the words have been spoken, we must do it. Lin Sheng said in a gentle tone, I know what you are worried about. You just think I am just saying nice things. But I want you to understand that the biggest difference between the Spark Alliance and the Skywalker Alliance is that they both respect every life. There is no distinction between high and low here. As long as you are useful to the Spark Alliance, you deserve the respect of everyone. Some people's death is heavier than Mount Tai, while others' death is lighter than a feather. In the face of sacrifice for justice, no one is judged by their ability or status. Xi Zingwen, the public cemetery is now under your full command. You must complete it before dawn tomorrow. At the break of dawn, we come to bid farewell to the supernatural beings who sacrificed today. Xi Zingwen's expression suddenly became serious. He stood up straight and responded loudly, I obey your command. At this moment, Xi Zingwen only felt that all the blood in his body was constantly flowing towards his head, and the tone of his shouting unconsciously rose several degrees. He hadn't experienced that kind of heart-pounding, blood-boosting feeling in a long time. To be honest, he just thought that Lin Sheng was just using some tricks to build a landmark area in order to control the people's hearts. But when he actually heard Lin Sheng's order to finish the work as quickly as possible and hold a farewell ceremony for the deceased superpower, he couldn't help but feel excited. Not just him. The faces of the other surviving psychics also turned red, which was obviously the sequelae of excessive emotional fluctuations. These people were all prisoners rescued from Jingshui prison by Lin Sheng. If it weren't for Lin Sheng's intervention, they would never have been able to get out of Jingshui prison in their lifetime. Although Lin Sheng's subjective intention was not to go after them at that time, they were the beneficiaries anyway. When you drink water, remember the person who dug the well. A drop of water should be repaid with a spring. This is also one of the important reasons why they directly support Lin Sheng to be the leader of the Spark Alliance. At this moment, the entire Spark Alliance base seemed to be enveloped by an extremely uplifting atmosphere. Pop-up windows kept popping up in front of Lin Sheng's eyes. The system was constantly prompting him to gain faith points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1,435 points of faith. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 1,867 points of faith. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining 2,374 points of faith. The current host has a total of 93,671 points of faith. This decision, as well as the speech just now, directly brought Lin Sheng nearly 30,000 points of faith value. Lin Sheng only needs a few thousand points to break through the 100,000 faith value barrier. Lin Sheng briefly checked Su Xing's injuries and confirmed that he was just temporarily unconscious. He then found an excuse to go to a secluded place outside the base and began a temporary retreat. It is called seclusion, but in fact it is just considering how to maximize the benefits of the faith points gained. Exchanging these faith points for weapons is more or less a waste of resources. After all, he now has the Long Yuan demon-suppressing halberd in his hand, a stellar-level weapon that is enough to make him look down on the blue planet. Since there is no need to enhance the weapons, Lin Sheng should start to consider expanding his own combat effectiveness. There are many new options for the types of redemption items available in the Faith Value Mall compared to before. There were all kinds of elixirs on display, but what really attracted Lin Sheng was a new product. Item name, Ancestral Crystal Core Grade. Description, a crystal core containing the supernatural power of a demon ancestor, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. After completely absorbing it, one will definitely gain the power of a demon king's bloodline. There is a chance to obtain imperial bloodline power. There is an extremely low probability of obtaining the power of ancestral bloodline. Exchange price, 88,888 points of faith. A crystal core of the demon ancestor level. Lin Sheng decided to buy the product right away after seeing it for the first time. Under normal circumstances, it is difficult for humans to directly absorb the supernatural powers contained in the crystal core. Although the supernatural powers used by monsters and humans are essentially the same, there are also many differences. But the description of this ancestral monster crystal core clearly mentioned that this crystal core can be absorbed and used by human superpowers. And there is a certain chance to obtain the power of ancestral bloodline. The so-called bloodline power is the unique ability of the monster clan, which can greatly increase their own strength in a short period of time. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of blood power. There are many specific abilities that humans have not yet touched. Compared to some secret methods used by humans to temporarily enhance their strength, the power of blood is safer and more efficient, and basically has no side effects. As the grade of the bloodline increases, the effects and upper limits will naturally be very different. Exchanging this crystal core is equivalent to giving yourself a secret method that can temporarily increase your own abilities. And he is at least at the Demon King level. As for the small chance of getting the Demon Emperor and Demon Ancestor levels, Lin Sheng actually didn't hold out much hope. But for something like this, there's no harm in giving it a try. If it succeeds, the improvement in his combat power will be immeasurable. You should know that Heng Tzu's existence is already the highest level of the Demon Clan. If you kill it, you can only get an Emperor-level Demon Beast Crystal Core. But now, through the exchange of faith points, I can actually obtain a high-level Crystal Core that does not exist on the blue planet. The gap between the Emperor and the Ancestor is as exaggerated as the gap between the S and the star. Chapter 68. Exchange for Ancestral Crystal Cores. Ding. Exchange successful. This time the total consumption is 88,888 points of faith. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Ancestral Crystal Core. The moment the faith value is deducted, the exchanged items have already materialized from the system wall. The moment the Ancestral Crystal Core appeared, an aura that was imperceptible to humans instantly spread to the surroundings at an immeasurable speed. All the monsters spread all over the blue star, no matter how far or near, felt a throbbing sensation deep in their blood. The more powerful the monster is, the stronger its perception of this aura will be. Who is the master of this breath? It makes me feel so oppressive that I can't breathe. I don't know if it's my illusion, but I always feel that the strength of this aura has surpassed that of the Demon Emperor. But the Demon Emperor is the strongest of our demon race. Why would there be someone stronger than the Demon Emperor? Could it be that the old senior who was sleeping somewhere has awakened? Not sure, send someone to check the source of this aura immediately, and remember not to disturb the other party. A strong person who can emit such a terrifying aura is definitely not someone we can easily provoke. Even the Demon Emperor wouldn't dare to act too recklessly in front of the Supreme Power. It seems that only someone as powerful as the Supreme Demon Emperor can compete with this unknown Demon Elder. While countless monsters were shocked, it also aroused their endless desire to improve their realm. There was originally only one existence that surpassed the Demon Emperor, the Supreme Demon Emperor, and now there is a second one. In the heart of the demon world, Demon Emperor Hongzi, who was practicing in seclusion in an attempt to catch up with Lin Sheng, suddenly opened his huge eyes at this moment. What on earth is going on? The aura before was already terrifying. Where did this aura of a demon beast that is more powerful than me come from? Hongzi's mind was full of question marks at the moment. In his inherited memory, the strongest monster among the monster clan must belong to him. But the breath just now was clearly the unique breath of the demon beast clan, and the depth of that breath far exceeded the emperor level. Could it be? A being above the demon emperor appears? When he thought of this, Hongzi immediately lost his composure. He was already upset that there was a being stronger than it in the world, but he never expected that another one would appear. Fortunately, this being is of the same clan as it, and perhaps its cultivation experience will be the key to breaking through that shackle. Thinking of this, Hongzi was eager to find this senior to exchange experiences on breakthrough. After all, it has already touched the realm above the emperor level, but there is still a lot of room for improvement before a complete breakthrough. Not all living beings have the same extraordinary understanding and luck as Lin Sheng. There are many monsters that cannot break through to the general level in their entire lives, just like there are many humans who cannot break through to the A level. This is a huge watershed. But there is more than one watershed. Every realm upgrade after A level and Demon King is a threshold that is difficult to cross. It's a pity that this breath appeared too briefly. Even Hongzi, the Demon Emperor, was unable to accurately perceive the specific location of this breath. However, due to his desire to improve his strength, Hongzi dispatched almost all the monsters that the monster tribe could mobilize. No matter whether it was the Demon King or the Demon Emperor, they all came out in full force under Hongzi's instruction. The purpose is to search for the source of that breath. Lin Sheng, who was completely unaware of all this, was staring intently at the crystal core in front of him that was emitting colorful light. The main body of the crystal core presents a deep purple color, and on this purple base, 4 gorgeous colors of gold, green, blue and red are interwoven. Upon closer inspection, the surface of the crystal core seems to be flowing with delicate textures. These textures are not arranged randomly, but follow some ancient and complex rules. Just like the star map of the universe, it contains the ultimate truth between heaven and earth. It is indeed an ancestral crystal core. If I hadn't reacted quickly and used my supernatural powers to isolate its aura in time, I'm afraid it would have attracted all the monsters on the entire blue star. Lin Sheng was not worried that this thing would be snatched away by monsters, but his current identity was somewhat sensitive after all. As the Supreme Demon Emperor of Demon Beasts, he absorbed an extremely powerful crystal core to enhance his own strength in front of all demon beasts. This feeling. It's as outrageous as digging up someone's ancestral grave in front of them and looking for elixirs that can enhance their strength inside. Moreover, something like this that goes beyond common sense will inevitably cause a huge sensation in the entire demon clan. For a race that values a euro strength, how could they not get to the bottom of the emergence of an extremely powerful predecessor? The more lies you tell, the easier it is to be exposed. Just in case, Lin Sheng felt that he still needed to absorb the crystal core quietly. Lin Sheng grabbed through the air, and an unprecedented terrifying suction force suddenly erupted, distorting the surrounding space and causing it to tremble slightly. Under the pull of this force, the mysterious patterns on the surface of the ancestral crystal core also tended to explode. When the cracks reached a certain size, the body of the crystal core suddenly released a dazzling light, like a star shattering. The supernatural power contained deep within this ancestral crystal core was constantly overflowing through the cracks, and was gradually being absorbed by Lin Sheng like peeling off silk threads from a cocoon. Feeling the surging supernatural power coming from the palm of his hand, Lin Sheng felt as if he was in the center of an endless sea of a euro supernatural power. Even when breathing, he could feel the strong energy that almost suffocated him. While Lin Sheng was absorbing the energy in the crystal core, dense and inseparable dark clouds appeared in the sky above where he was in seclusion. The density of these dark clouds is increasing at a speed visible to the naked eye, and they are gathering together at an alarming speed, forming an endless dark sky. There were faint flashes of terrifying lightning deep in the clouds, and each flash was accompanied by a deafening roar, as if it was going to tear the whole world apart. The rumbling sound had frightened all the creatures around and made them flee in all directions. Since this place was not far from the Spark Alliance's base, this terrifying thundercloud was also formed under the watchful eyes of Xingwen and others. What is this? Is it going to rain heavily? How could there be only one cloud during a heavy rain? It feels like some precious treasure is about to appear. A treasure that can be born in such a desolate place must be something extraordinary. Do we need to go take a look? It's better not to do that. The thundercloud is too powerful. With our strength, we will probably be reduced to ashes easily. The leader is in seclusion nearby. If there is really a treasure, just give it to him to deal with. All we have to do is to do our own work well and do what the leader has arranged. As for other things, don't think about it for now. After all, we don't have the ability to completely relieve the Lord Alliance's worries right now. On this basis, we absolutely cannot cause trouble for the Lord Alliance. As soon as Xingwen finished speaking, a serious look suddenly appeared on his calm face. There is a monster approaching. No. This aura has probably reached the level of a demon king, or even a demon emperor. The key is that there is more than one, and they are approaching the base at a very fast speed. Chapter 69. What are these monsters going to do? Hasn't the leader reached an agreement with the monster tribe? Damn it. Could it be that the demon tribe has unilaterally torn up the agreement and is going to break up with us? Don't worry about it for now. The situation is urgent and we can't afford to think too much. Brother Xingzhou hasn't woken up yet. Send someone to protect him. Then, summon all the superpowers who can participate in the battle, and fight the monsters with me. Even if we have to die, we must die honorably. We must not allow these monsters to harm innocent civilians. Xi Zingwen took out weapons directly from the storage space, waved his hand, and led the charge towards the direction where the monster came from. For a moment, the entire Spark Alliance base was in turmoil. Countless civilians were frightened out of their wits by this sudden change, and many people with special abilities were not much better off. Woo, Mom, are we going to die? Don't be afraid, kid, Mom is here, everything will be fine. Will the superpower uncle protect us? Where did the leader go? Will he come back to save us? Yes. I will. Mother, take the child and leave first. I will go and help those superpowers to buy you some time. Escape? Where can we stay now? If we leave the Spark Alliance, where should we go? Even if we die, our family will die together. We will still be a family in the next life. Don't say these discouraging words for now. If you don't have time to be fussy here, why don't you pick up your weapons and go forward to meet the enemy together? These damned monsters dared to invade our last habitat. Even if I die, I will bite a piece of flesh off them. In the face of endless despair, the potential that has been stimulated by everyone in the Spark Alliance, whether civilians or superpowers, is not self-destructive. Rather, it is the bloodiness hidden deep in the blood. At this critical moment of life and death, no one escaped. Even some civilians with weaker bodies picked up hoes as weapons and fought on the same front as the psychics. The distant sky. In the sky, the wings of those huge figures are vast and boundless, and each feather sparkles with a metallic luster, casting mottled shadows under the sunlight. The strong wind caused by the flight tore the surrounding clouds into pieces. Not only in the sky, but also on the ground there are several huge figures rushing towards them. Every step you take will create ripples visible to the naked eye. Wherever it passes, it will leave deep gullies and cracks. As the distance gets closer, the blood-boiling shock becomes stronger and stronger. After just one glance, Xi Zingwen and many other supernatural beings felt their scalps tingling. This kind of lineup is indeed too terrifying for the combat power they currently possess. Because the difference in power was so huge, they were unable to accurately determine whether the other party was a demon king or a demon emperor. But the vast sea of a euro supernatural power was clearly audible, and it was definitely not something they could contend with. The so-called human wave tactics, in the face of absolute strength, is just a trivial joke. Brothers, we are going to die this time. I am honored to die with you all. Let's continue to fight for our ideals in our next life. Being able to fight against so many demon kings and demon emperors, even if it means life or death, this life is not in vain. Ha 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 ha, those rats from the Tianxing Alliance will never be able to see so many demon kings and demon emperors in their lifetime. Fight for the Spark Alliance. Fight for what you believe in. Fight for the Lord. The sound of shouting one after another undoubtedly became the best catalyst for fighting spirit. The women, children, old and young in the base all hugged each other, closed their eyes tightly, and quietly waited for death to come. But what they never expected was, this was the most terrifying array of monsters that humans had ever faced. It actually passed them by and flew straight into the distance. Finally, there was a huge monster that looked back at the people who were shouting with a puzzled look. For some reason, Xi Zingwen seemed to see a hint of human doubt in its eyes. It felt like they were being treated as fools. Ah, what's going on? Aren't these monsters coming for us? No. I finally prepared myself mentally and was ready to fight to the death, but you told me I don't have to die. FK. No. Are they sick? Why are they making such a big noise if they're not here to fight? If you don't know, you might think they're here to destroy our base. The monster gradually went away, which made everyone feel a little relieved. In this age of striving to live, no one wants to die. Their greatest wish is to continue living. This is very strange. Everyone should stay on alert. It is better to be cautious. Xi Zingwen was still a little worried. In the past 10 years when humans and monsters were fighting, he had never seen monsters of such a scale appear. Judging from the direction they were heading, it seemed. I see. Xi Zingwen suddenly had an idea in his mind. The direction these monsters are heading is exactly where that terrifying thundercloud is. Our base is located right in front of that thundercloud, so we have the illusion that we are about to be attacked by monsters. It turns out that the purpose of their trip was to see that strange thundercloud. Brother Xi's guess was correct. There really is a treasure that has appeared in the world. However, this treasure is too amazing to be able to attract the appearance of the Demon King and Demon Emperor. I wonder if you have noticed that the purpose of these Demon Kings and Demon Emperors is very clear, and it seems that they have received some kind of order. Yes, I had the same thought just now. Their goal is a little too clear. But I feel that it's a little unreasonable. Normally, a monster of this level shouldn't come to explore the way. Don't worry about it for now. Everyone, please be alert and don't let your guard down. When all members of the Spark Alliance were on alert, the group of monsters passing by the Spark Alliance base had already arrived near the thundercloud. After this period of evolution, the size of the thundercloud has expanded several times compared to before. There was a vortex in the center of the thundercloud, and lightning filled with destructive aura was slowly condensing in it, and could fall at any time. The destructive aura it exuded alone was enough to stop the group of monsters. It is no wonder that the humans in the Spark Alliance base are so nervous. The monsters that gather here are at least at the Monster King level. 1 Demon Emperor and 23 Demon Kings, this scale has never been seen before in the history of the Tianxing Alliance and mankind. This thundercloud is quite interesting. It actually contains such a pure supernatural fluctuation that can cause strange phenomena in heaven and earth. There must be something extraordinary here. The key is that there is a mysterious force that completely suppresses my ability to perceive supernatural powers. I can't sense what is hidden nearby at all. Could it be that the senior that the Demon Emperor asked us to find is related to this thundercloud? A Demon Emperor opened his eyes slightly and his gaze fell on a weaker Demon King. You, go and find out the truth about this thundercloud. The Demon King who was named was shocked. He pointed at himself with his index finger and asked in disbelief, "Ah? Me? Am I going?" Chapter 70. The Demon King looked shocked, as if he had heard some news that was hard to accept. This thundercloud is so terrifying that any demon with a discerning eye can see its extraordinary qualities. Even the Demon King didn't dare to approach easily, but he, a mere Demon King, went to test his strength? What's the difference between that and committing suicide? Great Demon Emperor. This place is too dangerous. If I go there alone, I'm afraid I won't be able to respond if I encounter any danger. How about sending a few of our people to go with me? As soon as these words came out, several Demon Kings around it glared at it viciously. It would have been fine if this guy had just gotten unlucky himself, but he actually wanted to drag them into this, and the Demon King actually accepted this suggestion. That makes sense. It's up to you. I'll go with you. The Demon King randomly pointed to 2 Demon Kings of similar strength. In view of the strict hierarchy within the Demon Clan, the 2 Demon Kings who were pointed out did not dare to disobey. When these 3 Demon Kings, who were enough to make the human alliance on high alert, approached the thunderclouds, they were extremely nervous. Boom. A lightning snake at the bucket suddenly fell down. The target of this lightning snake was not the 3 Demon Kings, but the cave directly below the vortex. The force of thunder that was powerful enough to penetrate everything instantly smashed the top of the mountain into pieces. The cave located halfway up the mountain is intact, as if it was protected by some mysterious force. The residual power of this lightning snake descending upon the world actually made the 3 Demon Kings closest to it feel an unbearable burning sensation. What a terrifying aura. This is definitely not an ordinary thundercloud. If I had been hit by this divine thunder just now, I would have been struck to pieces on the spot. Based on this situation, I'm afraid it's not that a treasure has appeared, but that one of the seniors is improving his strength, which has attracted a thunder tribulation. I only vaguely glimpsed some information about the thunder tribulation in the inherited memory, but I never thought that I could actually witness the thunder tribulation coming to the world with my own eyes. As the most powerful monster in this team, the Demon King with iron-like feathers all over his body couldn't help but be shocked for a moment. The stronger your strength, the clearer your perception of the aura. It clearly sensed that the destructive aura contained in the divine thunder had a natural killing power against the monsters. The Demon King is very sure about this. After all, when the Demon Emperor was going through the tribulation, it was fortunate enough to be there to protect him personally. Among the entire monster clan, the number of monsters that have ever encountered thunder tribulations is only a handful. And this is one of them. It was also from that experience of protecting the Dharma that he understood that the thunder tribulations suffered by different races when they were transcending the tribulation were also different. Judging from previous experience, the only thing that can be confirmed at present is that the existence of the calamity in the cave must be inextricably linked to the monster. Thinking of this, the Demon King immediately stopped the 3 Demon Kings from approaching. You 3 can come back now. Since our elders are here to overcome the tribulation, then we, as the younger generations, naturally have to protect them. Monsters, listen up. Within a 10-mile radius, no living creature is allowed to approach. If any creature dares to ignore the warning and cross the line, they will be killed first and reported later. Yes, sir. The 3 Demon Kings who were sent near the thundercloud instantly breathed a sigh of relief and quickly retreated to a distance as if they had been pardoned. As the monsters closest to the thunder tribulation, they understand the horror of that power better than other members of their species. The power of thunder is known as the purest power in the world, but this is not because of how pure it is. But it has the power to annihilate everything. At the highest point of the wall of the Spark Alliance base, a group of psychics who were looking out over there saw a scene that they would never forget in their entire lives. The king-level monsters in the sky were actually like bodyguards, tightly protecting a mountain that was split in half by lightning. No one knows what is in there, and no one knows what happened at that time. But such a horrific scene made them not even curious at all. Because curiosity kills the cat. What on earth is inside that mountain? It's so powerful that it can be guarded by so many monsters. I don't know. Let alone being a guardian, being able to attract such a large number of monsters is not something we can be curious about. It would be great if the leader was here. He is so powerful, he will definitely be able to go to heaven to find out. Don't be ridiculous. The relationship between us and the monsters is just a cooperative one after all. The leader can't command them. That's true. I really hope that the leader will become stronger and stronger, and eventually be able to rule the monster clan. I admit that the leader is very strong, but please stop saying such unrealistic things. How can a human being rule over a tribe of demon beasts? This is totally unreasonable. Ha 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 ha, everyone should always have dreams. What if they come true? Don't you think so? You have gone beyond the realm of dreams. This is completely wishful thinking. How about we make a bet? I have a feeling that the leader's achievements are definitely not just this. Of course. If the leader can ever rule the monster tribe, I will do a handstand and eat shit, at this time. In the cave. Lin Sheng, who is constantly absorbing the supernatural powers from the ancestral crystal core, is nearing the end. That majestic power has put him in an extremely dazed state. The supernatural power, which was so strong that it almost turned into substance, wrapped him tightly, like forming a huge cocoon. For a moment, Lin Sheng felt as if he was possessed by supernatural powers. That feeling of transcending the mundane world caused his supernatural power to briefly go berserk. Fortunately, Lin Sheng discovered it in time, thus avoiding a terrifying explosion of supernatural power fluctuations. With his current stellar level peak strength, any energy fluctuation caused by losing control would be enough to flatten the surrounding area of a dozens of kilometers. What surprised Lin Sheng the most was that his strength could never surpass the peak of the star level. Lin Sheng was not too anxious. After all, a breakthrough in realm requires not only one's own strength to meet the requirements, but also an opportunity. Before finding this opportunity, he only needs to continuously improve his own strength, and then everything will come naturally. As the last bit of energy in the crystal core was consumed, the system's prompt sound effect sounded. Ding! The ancestral crystal core has been absorbed. Congratulations to the host for reaching the stellar level. Congratulations to the host for his great luck in obtaining the power of the ancestral monster bloodline from the absorption of the crystal core this time. Chapter 71. The ancestral bloodline Dowdy is fusing. Those who fuse this bloodline can devour everything in the world, absorb the essence of the sun and the moon, and the method of devouring can achieve the great way. At the moment when the system prompt sound effect fell, a fierce aura suddenly emerged from the narrow cave. What permeated the air was not only the fluctuation of power, but also a terrifying pressure that seemed to be able to swallow everything. This breath contains the endless greed and devouring power of Dowdy as an ancient mythical beast. Lin Sheng was concentrating with his eyes closed at this moment, being held up in the air by an invisible force. His entire body was shrouded in a layer of faint black light, as if something was constantly drilling into his body through his pores. That is the symbol of the fusion of Dowdy bloodline. Lin Sheng's face occasionally showed pain. The process of integrating a bloodline that did not belong to him was extremely painful. The soul and body were torn apart, and the blood power that belonged to the ancestral monster continued to surge in the meridians. If he had not reached the state of great perfection at the stellar level, the process of his meridians being torn apart and reassembled would be enough to torture any living being to death. As the fusion process progressed, the black light that enveloped him was almost completely absorbed. It was as if a sleeping giant beast was slowly waking up inside Lin Sheng's body, and his eyes gradually turned red, no longer as deep as before. Instead, it turned into two bottomless beast eyes, red with a bit of weird golden light, full of oppression. Even the pupil has undergone a very subtle change, and a tiny pupil has actually been differentiated. If you look closely, you can clearly see that there is a black vortex spinning at high speed in the differentiated pupil, just like an endless black hole. With the help of the compound eyes, Lin Sheng felt that the world in his eyes was different. Even a speck of dust in the air can be clearly seen by the eyes, and even its falling trajectory can be predicted. The surging power in the body actually began to dissipate uncontrollably to the outside world. Ding! The Dowdy bloodline is merging with the host's Fa Tian Xiang Di. After the fusion is completed, the true form will automatically materialize. The current fusion progress has reached 99%. Fusion complete. The Dharma heaven and earth has automatically opened. The unique fusion process of the ancestral bloodline power naturally frightened the demon kings and monster kings who were guarding the surroundings. Under their gaze, a huge phantom with supernatural powers broke through the mountain and reached a height of 100 feet in the blink of an eye. Unlike these monsters, this huge phantom, which was completely transformed by powerful supernatural powers, was exactly the same as Lin Sheng. The only difference is that the evil thoughts displayed by this huge phantom are beyond the reach of many monsters. The dark aura, like darkness, tightly attached to the Dharma image displayed by Lin Sheng, swaying in the wind like a flame, but it did not dissipate for a long time. An indescribable murderous aura and a murderous intent so thick that it made one unable to breathe, directly covered the entire place without any signs. The Demon King and Demon Emperor flying in the sky didn't even have time to react before they were pushed to the ground by a huge force. Boom! The impact force generated by the huge body hitting the ground created huge holes one after another. Suddenly, smoke and dust rose up. Now that you have seen me, why don't you bow down to me? Lin Sheng looked down at all the creatures on the earth, like an invincible god looking at a group of insignificant ants. The words he just said were not his subjective consciousness, but something he said unintentionally. Just feel. Does your consciousness seem to be affected by something? Ever since he absorbed the power of the divine spring and reached the peak of the stellar level, he has never used the secret method of celestial phenomena and earthly phenomena rewarded by the system. Although he didn't take the initiative to use it this time, it was still his first time using it anyway. Feeling the surging power fluctuations in his body and the god's perspective overlooking all living things, Lin Sheng felt that a slap in the face could directly make Hung Zhou lose his fighting power. This is not alarmist talk, nor is it arrogance, but absolute confidence after the rise of strength. Lin Sheng also didn't expect that Dowdy, which has always been praised as a ferocious beast in the ancient legends of Dragon Country, is actually the ancestor of the monster family. So, is there any other ancestral bloodline or ancestral monster active in this world? However, he quickly put this conjecture behind him. Judging from the current situation, the most powerful monster among the monster clan is Hengzi, the monster emperor. If there were any other ancestral monsters, the title of monster emperor would never fall on Hengzi. It is even more impossible for humans to remain active for so many years. Senior. I am the Demon King Yin Yu of the Demon Clan. I had no intention of disturbing you, but I still accidentally disturbed your retreat. I hope you will show mercy to me because we are of the same clan. Please show some mercy, Senior. A great man should not take the mistakes of a small man seriously. A series of trembling voices came, bringing Lin Sheng's scattered thoughts back to reality. Lin Sheng looked in the direction of the sound and saw the majestic and holy Demon King being pinned to the ground. Both the wings and limbs were unable to move under the influence of the pressure emanating from Fa Tian Xiang Di. The Demon King, who was once revered by countless monsters, was now like a puppet, being pinned to the ground and at the mercy of others, looking extremely miserable. But because these monsters were forced to the ground, with their heads almost embedded in the ground, they were unable to see Lin Sheng's true appearance. In addition, after Lin Sheng completely absorbed the power of the Daodi bloodline in the ancestral crystal core, he already had the aura of a monster. Therefore, all the Demon Kings and the Demon Emperor present only regarded Lin Sheng as an old senior who was practicing in seclusion but got angry because they disturbed him. Get up! Lin Sheng put away the pressure emanating from Fa Tian Xiang Di. Without the balance of pressure, the many monsters that were unable to move were finally able to stand up. Thank you very much, Junior. The Demon King took the lead in getting up from the ground, and with a look of fear on his face, he clasped his fists and bowed towards the position of Lin Sheng's Dharma image. But when they looked up and saw with their own eyes who this old man really was, their jaws dropped in shock. Supreme Demon Emperor? Why is it you? The old senior who just survived the catastrophe? I clearly sensed that the old senior's aura is still here. This is so strange. Could it be that the senior didn't want to see us and left first? Many Demon Kings were very puzzled. But there were also some Demon Kings who were quick-witted and their expressions changed instantly, as if they had thought of something. As the only Demon King in this team, Yin Yu has the highest IQ, so he naturally thought of a possibility that even he could hardly believe. Perhaps the senior never left from beginning to end. Because that person is most likely the Supreme Demon Emperor. Chapter 72. There are no seniors here. If you have nothing to do, please leave immediately. Lin Sheng suddenly remembered that this place was too close to the Spark Alliance base. The arrival of so many monsters must have scared the members of the Spark Alliance. Not to mention that the weakest among them are Demon Kings. Even the headquarters of the Tianxing Alliance has never seen such a scene. Yes, sir. Although Yin Yu had already guessed the truth in his mind, he didn't dare to ask any more questions since Lin Sheng didn't say anything. Although most of the Demon Kings also have doubts, those who can be promoted to this level are not fools. Everyone knew very well what to ask and what not to ask, even though they did not find the old senior that Hengzi mentioned this time. But at least, they also received shocking news. The aura of the demon beast emanating from Lin Sheng is simply not something that humans can disguise through normal means. This also means that their Supreme Demon Emperor really has the blood of demon beasts. And the level is very high. As the Demon King, Yin Yu has also felt how terrifying the blood power in Hengzi's body is. When Lin Sheng summoned the law of heaven and earth just now, the blood power he inadvertently exuded was 100 times more terrifying than Hongzi, the Demon Emperor. Bloodline beyond the Demon Emperor level, hiss. Just thinking about it is terrifying. We have no intention of disturbing the Supreme Demon Emperor's cultivation, so we will take our leave now. After Yin Yu bowed, he lowered his head and stepped back for a long time before slowly raising his head. The other Demon Kings didn't even dare to breathe a single breath and followed suit to leave. Before Lin Sheng obtained this blood power, he already had the ability to defeat the Demon Clan. Now that they have this bloodline power that appeared out of nowhere, it is even more impossible for the demon race to contend with it. Soon, these monsters came in a mighty force and left in a mighty force, as if nothing had happened. Lin Sheng also directly released the Fa Tian Xiang Di. The energy consumed in the process of using the Fa Tian Xiang Di was enormous. The effect and consumption are always directly proportional. Activating the Fa Tian Xiang Di when you have nothing to do is just like using a cannon to shoot at a mosquito. Another point is that it would be better not to reveal his unification of the demon race to the people of the Spark Alliance too early. No matter what the reason is, this can be used as a trump card. The Spark Alliance is still relatively united at present, but there may be undercover agents sent by the Skywalker Alliance among them. There are quite a few people in the Spark Alliance now, and most of them are fine. However, there is no guarantee that everyone will be fine. After all, people's hearts are hidden. No matter how strong he is, he can't see through a person's appearance and directly see the other person's new thoughts. When Xi Zingwen saw Lin Sheng's figure slowly becoming clearer in the distant sky, he breathed a sigh of relief. Master, you are finally back. After Lin Sheng landed smoothly, he couldn't help laughing when he saw Xi Zingwen sweating profusely. How did it become like this? Don't mention it. I don't know why so many monsters suddenly rushed towards our base. At that time, I thought they were coming to attack, and the brothers were ready to die in battle. Die in battle? If you can't win, just run away. Why throw your life away here? Xi Zingwen shook his head firmly. Master, this is wrong. The Spark Alliance is our final destination. If we can't even protect this place, what's the point of us living on? By the way, Lord Alliance leader, there was a huge humanoid projection confronting a monster in the direction you came from just now. Did you notice it? All the brothers in the Alliance witnessed it with their own eyes. It only took a moment for that huge statue to disperse all those monsters. The monsters coming this time are quite powerful. The fact that they can be easily dissuaded shows that the statue is much stronger than them. Such a powerful being is near the base. Should we try to find him and pay him a visit? If conditions permit, maybe we can invite him to come to the Spark Alliance and take charge. No matter how bad we are, we can still have a good relationship with the other party. In case our Starfire Alliance encounters any disaster, maybe we can ask the other party to help. Xi Zingwen became more and more excited as he spoke, as if he had already seen that mysterious and powerful being invited to the Spark Alliance. Lin Sheng's eyelids twitched when he heard this. Looking at Xi Zingwen's cheerful look, he didn't have the heart to discourage him. Since he wanted to conceal the fact that he had unified the demon race, he naturally could not reveal the fact that the statue was created by himself. If you want to hide something, the fewer lies you tell, the better, because one lie requires countless lies to cover it up. As for the excuse of not seeing it or not knowing it, unless there is direct evidence that you saw it, then that can be put to rest once and for all. I'm not sure. I didn't see anything unusual when I came here, but I did feel a strange aura. For the time being, we should not invite them. No one knows whether they are human, monster, or some other creature. That's true. Xi Zingwen felt a little disappointed, but he still said resignedly, just like what the leader said, if the other party is a monster, then we are in trouble. Besides, the other party is so powerful. How easy is it to establish a relationship with such an existence? Hearing the other party flattering him, Lin Sheng blushed, coughed and changed the subject. How have you managed to loot the things at the Tianxing Alliance branch base? Reporting to the Lord Alliance leader, after more than a dozen trips, we have basically emptied the place. The food resources stored there alone are enough to support the Spark Alliance for a period of time. The most important thing is that their equipment, such as solar panels and wind turbines, can also improve the quality of life in our alliance. As soon as the matter of looting supplies was mentioned, the disappointment on Xi Zingwen's face quickly disappeared. How to relieve worries? Only by getting rich. Although he didn't know exactly how much was looted, Lin Sheng took a quick glance and could see that the Spark Alliance base had changed a lot. In the past, people could only rely on the supernatural powers of psychics to meet some of their daily needs. Now it is more inclined towards modern life. The existence of people with special powers can indeed provide convenience, but for ordinary people, technological development is still more convenient. In a short period of time, he couldn't find any talents to study technological development. In this way, plunder is the fastest way to acquire technology. Chapter 73. For the next period of time, do not expand the base for the time being. Prioritize improving the living facilities inside the base. The first thing Lin Sheng thought of was to improve the quality of life of the Spark Alliance. In order to make these civilians and people with special abilities follow him wholeheartedly and provide him with a steady stream of faith, very complicated means are needed. How to turn these people into a continuous source of faith value output points, rather than a one-time faith value output point, is the first question that Lin Sheng needs to think about. In addition to providing a safe home, a comfortable living environment is also an indispensable part. Now that we have obtained so many valuable equipment from the Tianxing Alliance's branch base, we naturally have to make the best use of them. Okay, I'll send someone to do it right away. How is the situation with Su Xingzhou? He hasn't woken up yet, but it's nothing serious. He just fell into a temporary coma due to excessive consumption of his supernatural powers. Okay, I'll go see him. After Lin Sheng left, the other Spark Alliance members who had been staring at them for a long time immediately surrounded them. Brother Xi, did the leader see clearly why those monsters came? Yes, I'm dying of curiosity. Just now I almost saw the face of the statue, but it was a pity that the person was thinking too high up. From my angle, the face was completely covered by the clouds. Who isn't? I've tried 800 angles, but in the end I still can't see anything. Even when I was peeking at Xiaomei next door taking a shower, she never put so much effort into it. These people looked like badgers that couldn't find any melons. They were as anxious as ants on a hot pan, wishing they could read some clues from Xi Zingwen's subtle expressions. Don't be curious. When the leader came, everything was already over. What does he think? Also, although the leader has a relationship with the monster, it's not a good idea to go and ask them directly for information. Let's put this matter to rest for now. In the next period of time, we need to strengthen infrastructure. What the leader just said was that we should find a way to improve the living standards in the base. All right. The Demon World. Deep in the hinterland. Master Demon Emperor, we have just successfully locked onto the exact location of that aura, but... Yen Yu was kneeling on one knee at this moment, his voice revealing hesitation, as if he didn't know how to describe what was going to happen next. What happened? Just tell me. A hint of danger flashed in Hong Ze's pupils. He hated subordinates who were always dithering the most. The person who appeared at the specific location of the aura was not a senior of my demon race, but the Supreme Demon Emperor. What? Hong Zi thought he had misheard, and asked again with a suspicious look on his face, you mean, you found Lin Sheng instead of the elder of the demon clan? Yes. The Supreme Demon Emperor seems to be going through some kind of thunder tribulation. The tribulation he is going through is even more terrifying than when you were promoted. 3 demon kings of my clan approached, but were almost annihilated by the power of the lightning that randomly struck them. But the thunder tribulation didn't seem to last too long. After the Supreme Demon Emperor had passed the tribulation, he immediately revealed his true form. A drop of cold sweat slid down Yin Yu's forehead. Recalling the scene at that time, he still felt a lingering fear. The moment the true form emerged, I could clearly feel an immense pressure coming towards me. All the monsters present, including my subordinates, are unable to move under this pressure. Not only that, I can also very clearly sense the extremely pure blood power in the Supreme Demon Emperor's body. Just getting a little closer makes me want to kneel down and worship you. This level of blood power is probably not much different from that of you, the Demon Emperor. Yin Yu has tried to be as conservative as possible. If it were to give a complete description of the blood power that Lin Sheng exuded at that time, it is no exaggeration to say that the blood power in Lin Sheng is enough to completely suppress Hong Zi. But it can't be said so bluntly. No matter what, Hong Zi is the demon king of their demon clan. Even if he is weaker than Lin Sheng in strength, he is still the same kind as them. Coupled with this Supreme Demon Emperor who showed up halfway, the blood power in his body is really too strange. Why do the two unrelated existences, human and demon beast bloodlines, appear together? True body? Monster bloodline. Hong Zi suddenly sat up, the puzzled look in his eyes almost filling up his entire pupils. It could never imagine how a human could have the blood of a demon beast. Moreover, the real body is also unique to the demon race. It was very sure that, whether from its understanding of the human world over the years or from the images in its inherited memories, it had never known that humans could have a true body. Master Demon Emperor, do you think there is a possibility? After Yin Yu calmed down a bit, he made a very bold guess. The Supreme Demon Emperor found the Demon Elder before us, and then... Hong Zi's eyes turned cold, and the air around him instantly dropped several degrees. You mean to say that he killed my clan's predecessor and devoured the blood power in his body? This is absolutely impossible. The blood power of our race cannot be plundered at will. If bloodline power could really be plundered, then there wouldn't be so many weak people of the same clan in this world. Perhaps it's just some of the adventures he encountered. Humans' luck has always been much better than ours. As for the strange thing about him, I think it's necessary to go find him. It just so happens that my strength has improved recently. If I spar with him for a while, he shouldn't be suspicious. Yin Yu opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but when he looked up, he found that Hong Zhe had left the place without him noticing. The speed was so fast that it even left an afterimage that was exactly the same as the original body. It was not until Yin Yu reacted that the afterimage completely disappeared. This speed is indeed much faster than before. Could it be that the Demon Emperor has also reached that legendary realm? The two Demon Emperors of my demon race are stronger than each other, and their talents are more evil than each other. Even the Demon Emperor is as impatient as ever. I'm afraid he's going to suffer this time. When Yin Yu thought of Lin Sheng's domineering appearance that looked down upon the world, he felt the hairs on his body stand on end. The gap in strength was like a chasm, so it couldn't even think of fighting. Being able to directly make the Demon King lose the will to fight, how could an ordinary Demon King be able to do that? Chapter 74. Tianxing Alliance Headquarters Base, Conference Room. After three figures entered the conference room, the heavy metal door slowly closed. When the last tiny gap disappears, the excellent sound insulation effect directly isolates all sounds from the outside world, leaving only the dull echoes that continue to reverberate in the room. Although the light in the room was not dim, the high-hanging lights seemed to be restrained by an invisible force, casting only a pale and cold halo. A long conference table stretched across the center of the room, and on the walls hung portraits of people who had made great contributions to the alliance and murals of glorious battles. A white-haired old man walked directly to the highest seat. Even Zhang Qi, who was deep-minded, did not dare to look at the old man. Yusun City. Like Li Bei's father, he was one of the earliest founders of the Tianxing Alliance. He is also the leader of the Tianxing Alliance. He has been stationed at the headquarters since the establishment of the alliance, commanding the human alliance to repel monster attacks many times. And his own strength has already reached the level of an A-level psychic, and he can be said to be the strongest among the start UPS. After Yu Sunchen sat down, he asked with full energy, "You mean, Lin Sheng and those remnants wandering around the border attacked the branch base together?" "Master, every word I say is worthy of your trust." Ralph stood straight, with his left hand behind his back and his right fist on his chest. "I am willing to swear on my heart that everything I just said to you is true. Lin Sheng not only attacked us rashly, but also brutally killed our compatriots in the branch base. The bloody and cruel methods he used far exceeded our expectations. Perhaps, this guy's rebellion was not a spur-of-the-moment act, but something he had planned for a long time. Hey, when Lin Sheng was in the alliance, I thought he was a fool. I didn't expect that he would end up on the wrong path now. Forget it, forget it. It's all his own fault that he has ended up like this." The old man frowned, and the anger emanating from his brows made Ralph, who had been fanning the flames, reveal a barely noticeable smile. This leader, who rarely appears in public, seems to have expressed his dissatisfaction with Lin Sheng beyond words. This is not surprising. After all, these people were rescued from Jingshui prison by Lin Sheng. Seeing that the situation was almost over, Zhang Qi stepped forward and added fuel to the fire. "Master, everyone in the alliance is asking for Lin Sheng to come back and take charge of the situation. This direction of public opinion is not good news for the future development of the Tianxing Alliance." Yu Sunchen's wrinkled old face showed a hint of sneer. "The Dawn Plan will be completed soon, and the direction of public opinion will naturally be corrected by then. These ordinary people can't possibly have any effect on our public opinion. Unless they want to completely lose our protection, how can they survive without the Tianxing Alliance? What's the news from the northern border?" When Zhang Qi heard about the northern border, he temporarily put aside his idea of a taking this opportunity to criticize Lin Sheng. The response from the northern border is that the creatures over there are willing to have more in-depth communication with us. But what? The other party asked us to hand over a portion of the tribute to show our determination and sincerity in cooperating with them. Yu Sunchen said disapprovingly, you can just do it yourself. It's just a small treat for them. Why should you hesitate? If we can establish a relationship with those creatures, we won't have to worry about Lin Sheng and the remnants, or even the monsters. Zhang Qi was silent for several seconds, as if he was preparing himself mentally or organizing his words. Master, the tribute requested by the other party has already specified that it is human. A flash of surprise suddenly flashed across Yu Sunchen's old eyes. They want to use humans as tribute. Arrogant. Our Tianxing alliance is indeed actively seeking cooperation with them, but we are far from betraying our compatriots. Tell the troops stationed on the northern border that if they are unwilling to cooperate, then let them suffer a little. Master, calm down. Zhang Qi's eyes turned, and a plan instantly emerged in his mind. The forms of those creatures are too strange. Attacking them rashly will only anger them. If the relationship between the Tianxing alliance and the other party really becomes hostile, it will definitely not be a good thing for us. The Tianxing alliance is now facing the invasion of monsters and the betrayal of the traitor Lin Sheng. We absolutely cannot make new enemies. But handing over our compatriots in exchange for benefits is a bit contrary to our original intention. Besides, there is no impenetrable wall in the world. Once this matter is leaked, it will be a devastating blow to the Tianxing alliance. When Yu Sunchen saw Zhang Qi's confident look, he realized that he already had an idea in mind. In this way, the depressed mood in my heart was naturally reduced a lot, and even the tone of my voice became lighter. Then tell me what you think. There were many civilians who were expelled from the 4 major cities before. I wonder if the leader still remembers them. Yu Sunchen thought for a moment and nodded slightly. Yes, weren't these people reported by you before? Their crime seems to be, family of deserters. Yes, Lord Alliance leader has a good memory. Zhang Qi did not forget to flatter him, and then he struck while the iron was hot and said, these people used to be treated well by the Alliance, and now they are driven out of the 4 major cities, so they must be resentful. They are all fence-sitters. It is said that gratitude can only lead to hatred. This is absolutely true. The Alliance has spent so much money on them over the years, but in the end, not only did they not appreciate it, they kept throwing mud at the Alliance. People like this will become trouble sooner or later if we keep them. It just so happens that they are needed on the northern border. Why not? As a member of the United States, there is a certain generation gap in communication between Ralph and the Dragon Country. Although there is no problem in daily communication with them, I am still a little confused about the deeper hints. But just because they couldn't speak the same language didn't mean he couldn't see the viciousness hidden deep in Zhang Qi's eyes. This expression was completely different from Zhang Qi's harmless appearance. If Ralph hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never have believed that a seemingly gentle and refined person could actually have such a look in his eyes. Ralph silently labeled Zhang Qi a dangerous person in his heart, and if he had the chance, he would definitely stay away from this guy. Yu Sunchen did not answer immediately, obviously he was struggling with his thoughts. However, this struggle did not seem to last long. Okay. I'll leave this matter to you. I don't feel comfortable letting anyone else do it. After all, not everyone is as smart as you. If you do your best, maybe my position will be yours in the future. If there is anything you need support for, just let me know. I will naturally provide you with convenience if conditions permit. Chapter 75. The corners of Zhang Qi's mouth trembled slightly with excitement, and his eyes hidden under the frame were gleaming with brilliance. Even so, he still tried hard to suppress his inner excitement and responded in the calmest tone possible, I will definitely live up to your trust, Lord Alliance leader, and will do my best to complete this matter beautifully. Yu Sunchen did not continue the topic of the northern border, but changed the subject and shifted it to another matter. There's also news coming from Sakura country that their S-class psychic Kimura Shin has lost consciousness. This matter has been verified by many parties and is true. What is the specific reason? Can you send someone to find out? It seems to be related to the supernatural facility we developed. Kimura Shin's consciousness has no signal returned after entering the projection device. There are only 2 possibilities for this situation. The first possibility is that there is a major failure in the equipment. And the second possibility is that he was forcibly left there by some means we haven't come into contact with yet. I prefer the latter of these 2 possibilities. After all, these devices have been tried countless times before being put into use. 4 possibilities with extremely small probabilities, we call them impossible events. What's more, after a series of inspections, there was nothing wrong with the projection equipment used by Kimura. Humph, that must be Lin Sheng's doing. Yu Sunchen's expression became even more sinister. He can be considered the top in the S-level realm, but as long as we have the advantage in numbers, he is nothing to be afraid of. We need to increase the number of personnel for the Dawn project in due course. How much safety stock does the Tianxing Alliance have? I was just about to report this matter to the leader. Zhang Qi changed his previous high spirits, frowned, and said with a rather embarrassed look, since the leader proposed the Dawn plan, the Tianxing Alliance has had 12 S-level psychics. Among them, our Dragon Nation alone has 6, and the rest of the Alliance member countries are randomly distributed. However, creating such a large number of S-level psychics will consume a huge amount of stored medicine. Moreover, having learned from the previous lessons, these A-level psychics have been promoted to the S-level realm, and the quantity and quality of the pills they absorb have obviously increased a lot. With the current inventory of pills, at most one more A-level psychic can be promoted to S-level psychic. Not enough, this amount is far from enough. Since the Alliance doesn't have enough elixirs in stock, we should find a way to collect them from the major families in the 4 major cities. The strength of the Alliance also determines whether they can survive in this turbulent era. The League has paid so much for them, so why not charge them a little? Zhang Qi did not take up the topic directly, but took a step forward and said cautiously, Master, we have already collected all that we can. The major families in the 4 major cities have almost no more elixirs. After all, the Alliance has always been very strict in controlling the ammunition obtained from the ruins, and they don't have much surplus. Bang! The sound of a teacup breaking rang out in the room. The broken porcelain cup and scalding tea fell to the ground, and Zhang Qi's panicked figure was reflected in the steaming water. Although I have little control over the Alliance, I know the core data better than any of you. According to my requirements for the Dawn project, these pills can create at least 16 S-level skilled people. And now you tell me there are only 12, and you have already collected elixirs from all the major families. Zhang Qi, do you think that if I turn a blind eye to what you did, you can do whatever you want in the Alliance? I do have high hopes for you, but I hope you don't forget that I can give you something and I can take it back. Seeing that Yu Sunchange was really furious this time, Zhang Qi fell to his knees with a plop. Please calm down, Lord Alliance Leader. I really didn't think things through properly on this matter. I will give the leader an explanation within 3 days and guarantee that all the pills for the Dawn Breaking project will be returned. Well, that's best. If you have nothing else to do, please step down first. I hope you can handle these 2 tasks beautifully. Yes, sir. Shortly after Zhang Qi left the room, Ralph followed him out, but the two did not have much interaction. Just as Zhang Qi walked to a corner, a figure wrapped in a black windbreaker suddenly pulled him into a door. Mr. Zhang, what do you think? You are so brave. Do you know where this place is? Zhang Qi's face changed, and he lowered his voice and said, if our contact is discovered by others, I don't need to tell you what the consequences will be. Your biggest shortcoming is that you are too cautious before doing certain things. Things are not as complicated as you think, and I am not as weak as you think. With your alliance of small fry, you still think you can stop me? Even if we have twice as many people, it's impossible. That old man Yu Sunchange is on guard against me everywhere. On the surface, he seems to be training me, but in fact, he is just using me. Zhang Qi became angrier as he spoke, and his hands unconsciously clenched into fists. As his strength gradually increased, his nails dug deeply into his flesh. Go back and tell your master that I can agree to all the conditions it proposes, but it must also fulfill my request without any compromise. The figure wrapped in a black windbreaker trembled slightly a few times, and then let out an extremely creepy laugh. It felt like the gurgling sound of a mummy that had been dried for hundreds of years. No problem, that's what I'm waiting for, Mr. Zhang. That master has already prepared this power for you. At the cuff of the black windbreaker, a shriveled hand, only skin and bones remaining, stretched out. Before Zhang Qi could react, he was patted lightly on the shoulder. The next second, Zhang Qi felt as if his soul was torn apart by something. The pain that went straight through his head made him lie on the ground and convulse constantly. His body twisted unconsciously and looked extremely horrifying. The pupils gradually became hollow and empty, and the aura on the body was also gradually changing. In the pain that was so intense that it was almost unbearable, Zhang Qi opened his mouth wide, but he could not make any sound. When people are in extreme pain, they may lose their voice. Hehehe, congratulations to Mr. Zhang for obtaining this great fortune. But whether Mr. Zhang can bear it and how much he can use it depends on Mr. Zhang's luck. Mr. Zhang, we'll meet next time. I hope you won't forget the conditions you just agreed to. Otherwise, you will face more than just having your power taken back. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.